Coffee in Tow is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real time news updates, in depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House. Cover on the daily. We have the links there so you can keep abreast of what else is going on around the world. We also have our shop page where you're able to shop your one or shop for your 100% skincare items, organic skincare and hair care items, courtesy of Lormel Skin Food. You're also able to get 20% off all coffee products by heading over to www.grandcoffeehouse.com. The link is there on our shop page as well. All right, so good morning, Marlon. Good morning, John. Morning, RoSolo. Hope you all are doing well.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You're in traffic.
I'm in traffic, and that is at the bottom. That is Keisha from CH.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay. Thank you for welcome, Miss Kilo. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming to Coffee Till over here on the other side on fan base. We appreciate you coming. Thank you for letting me know, John. You be careful in the traffic, please, and thank you. Be very careful. Be safe. What's the weather like, John?
Funny, it's going to be 80 degrees today.
Hold on a second. Hold on. It's 68 degrees here in Miami. So how the heck you get 80 degrees over there? What did
I don't
DeSantis
even know.
What did DeSantis and Abbott talk about?
You know what? It's probably because they're getting rid of some of the heat. Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. You know the bodies, we contain heat.
So you is it a place to cool down, John?
Place the well mixed face.
Listen. As we talk about
Good morning. Good morning.
RoSolo. How are you, RoSolo?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking. I hope you are doing well and everyone listening in is doing well. Happy Wednesday? Happy Wednesday.
Happy
2 more
Wednesday.
days left in February. February was a long year,
But
January was a
RoSolo,
long
no.
year too.
Stop a second, RoSolo. Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
don't think this week in particular
It's
has
long.
no, man? This week for me look like it going pretty quickly.
Mm-mm.
No?
These
Okay.
days, every morning you wake up and Lord have mercy.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it probably is going by quick. It probably is because it's Wednesday, and I'm always grateful for another day. But I think in terms of the mental,
Mm-hmm.
what you have to listen to, January was rough on us and everyone, and February is, I think, and it's a shorter month, and it's like, all right, come on, March, let's go.
Yeah.
What do you have for us? So, but
Yeah.
before you know it, we're saying Merry Christmas. So, let's not do that. So let me just appreciate every day and not rush it, Oh,
Appreciation is key indeed. Appreciation is the key. We're grateful. We're grateful for health, strength, life. Health is our wealth. Don't let us be fooled. Health is our wealth. You're healthy. That's a blessing. That's a huge blessing. And of course, added to that, when you're surrounded by good friends, good family, good support, yeah, that helps to make a difference as well. Yeah. All right, so let me just fix one quick thing here on YouTube, and then we can go ahead and get started. Bear with me one moment. Going to do a quick fix. All right, so thank you once again to everyone listening on QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio.com, MadMusicHouse.com, and thank you to everyone right here with me on Fanbase. Also, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube channel and who is watching on YouTube Live. We appreciate you. As always, we kick it off in the Caribbean corner. I hope that one says it's royalty free. I hope it's royalty free. Fingers crossed. I don't get copyright flagged for that instrumental. What's up, John? John giving me the eyes.
I was wondering. I was like, okay, I can't check to see if she's live. Does she know she playing music?
Yeah, I found that one. I'm like, well, I've had that one and I checked it and it says it's royalty free. So I sincerely hope that is the case. Otherwise, flag, flag, flag. But it's all good. I think this
Listen, learning process,
learning
If it's
process,
not,
yeah.
yeah, if it's not, then you'll definitely find out, and you'll know whether to use it or not. Until then, keep using it because it was nice to hear the familiar sound. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
learning process.
yeah. Of course. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. All right. As always, we kick it off in the Caribbean corner. And our first article or first order of business, Sandals, you're up. Sandals, sandals, sandals. So, according to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com, in your country, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has announced that Sandals Resorts will now allow its employees to keep the tips they earn, following discussions with the resort's executive chairman, Adam Stewart. The decision marks a shift for the Jamaica based luxury hotel chain, which has traditionally discouraged tipping under its all inclusive pricing model. Brown revealed the update during an interview on Point FM, where he praised the steward for agreeing to the change. If the government of Antigua and Barbuda wants the staff to get tips, they can have the tips, Stewart reportedly said, to which Brown responded, definitely. The Prime Minister also stated that the government expects Sandals to proactively implement the new tipping policy before any legislation is passed. At Sandals Resorts, tipping has historically been discouraged, with the company maintaining that gratuities are factored into the overall cost of a guest's stay. Staff were not generally permitted to accept tips, but except in cases such as butler services and spa treatments. Employees who accepted gratuities outside of these exceptions risked consequences, leading to criticism of the resort's stance on worker compensation. Brown emphasized that with this change, all tips given to Sandals employees should belong solely to them, not to be placed in any trust or fund controlled by the company. And we hope Sandals will be proactive and put the new tip policy in place so that when workers receive tips, those tips belong to the employees, not the employer. The update comes after previous tensions between the government and Sandals in 2024, including disputes over tax payments. Brown has previously accused the company of withholding millions in unpaid sales tax, a claim Sandals has not publicly addressed. While the new tipping policy is seen as a win for hotel workers, it remains to be seen whether this signals a broader shift in Sandals' relationship with the Antiguan government. So, as I was reading it, that was what popped into my head. Did they settle the dispute over taxes? Because, of course, there is an issue there. Did they handle that? You know, I hope they did. Well, according to this article, Sandals has not publicly addressed the claim. So I'm hoping that there is some update. Now, as we talk about tips, um, it was unfair, in my opinion, and I'm going based on this article. As an employee who is not a spa treatment, not working in the spa or not working as a butler, I would be up in my feelings. Me would I feel a way to know that the butler can get tips and keep the tips, the spa attendant can get tips and keep tips. That seems a little unfair. Why is it that they are allowed to and I'm not? So I do appreciate that they are now saying everyone is able to get the tip and keep the tip or tips. Now, I do understand. Go ahead, Jam. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I wanted to know if the tips will be taxable. And also, that's why you got to learn that underhanded, shake your hand, pass the money through without anybody seeing,
Yeah.
which we do. Because when I travel, I do it, even when they say don't tip. But I want to know if the employees are going to be taxed on their tips. Basically, is it going to be tracked?
Right. We don't know. We don't know. The full scope of it, we don't know. As it relates to an all-inclusive situation, I don't have a problem with that. And hear me out. I don't have a problem with a company saying no tipping allowed. And here's the reason. What can potentially happen is that the employees can give more favorable treatment to certain guests. Why? Because money now is in play, the exchange of money for services. So I may have saved 10 years to go on this trip to Sandals. My budget is limited. And because I'm not able to tip everybody or every time I'm served, the treatment that I get is not going to be the same as, say, RoSolo, who might go there and be able to flaunt a little more. So I think I want to know that with the introduction of this, people will be treated equally, the guests. I don't want to know that some are going to be treated better than others because they're able to tip more often or the amount that they are giving is so significant that you, the employee, are now at that person's beck and call.
And I'm so the opposite, because most of the time when you go on an all-inclusive trip, it's really marked down sometimes or discounted, right? And I don't feel that they're paying, and we've had stories to whereas the hotel employees aren't even getting paid a living wage.
Right.
So I'm questionable with that.
My preference, and if you're a luxury all-inclusive hotel, my preference is that the gratuity be included in the bill and it is divvied up equally amongst all non-management staff. No executive benefits, no manager benefits, just the ordinary people.
That's a great process, Moments, but you can't trust that. That's part of the problem. You
Yeah,
can't trust that it will be divvied up amongst those who really deserve it.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Moments,
Hold on, I'm
you're on
gonna
mute.
sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I get that, RoSolo, but we need to be
Yeah,
able to trust our management. We need to be able to trust our
we
employees,
do. I
and
totally agree.
they need to create that bridge that gap. Because yeah, I see issues coming up. As I said, this is how we are. And I have said this before. If you pull up to some places, some concierge places, or to valet, that's what I meant, not concierge, valet. If you pull up in a rickety tickety, the treatment you get is not the same as if you pull up in a Maybach, a Rolls Royce, a Lamborghini. It's not. We know this. And this is my issue, that we might be creating discrimination with regard to how guests are treated. One who has more than the other. That's it.
But moments in those places where people are pulling up with those type of cars, we're not going there.
No, you have people, child, who save and
Yeah,
save
that's not
and
true.
save. You have people who will save to go for the experience because they want, it's on their bucket list. So I'm not going to say they're not going there. There are people who are not wealthy, who are not rich, who do sacrifice to go to places that are considered quote unquote nice.
Well, let's include our tips in our savings.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's see. Well, we still have Sandals in the news. Um, Sandals is to create 3,500 jobs with massive new resort in Barbados. This article also courtesy of CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. A massive state-of-the-art hotel resort set to be built in Barbados later this year will create an estimated 3,500 jobs, marking what backers are calling the largest investment ever made in the country's tourism sector. The new development, under the Sandals Beaches family brand, will be constructed on the site of the former Haywoods Hotel Resort and Almond Resort. Adam Stewart, executive chairman of Sandals Resorts and Beaches Resorts, revealed that around 1,700 jobs will be created during the construction phase, with an additional 1,800 permanent staff positions available once the resort is completed. Stewart made the announcement during the 48th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community at the Wyndham Grand Resort. Demolition will begin this Monday, Stewart said, which was this Monday past year. I have had several meetings with Prime Minister Motley. The property will be a Beaches family brand covering 1.2 million square feet with 600 rooms, including 3 and 4 bedroom villas. It will represent the best of what Sandals has ever offered for family holidays, all with timeless elegance. Designed to be absolutely beautiful, the project is moving forward. Stewart described the resort as a big machine that will drive significant economic activity, including in areas such as tours, transportation, entertainment, and food and beverage services. He noted that the resort will host around 1,800 to 2,000 guests every week. Barbados has come a long way, and it's amazing for us to help build its tourism infrastructure while continuing to see strong demand for Barbados in the marketplace. The project, which is expected to take about 2.5 years to complete, will be Sandals' third hotel in Barbados. Sandals Barbados currently employs 1,450 permanent staff, while Sandals Royal Barbados employs about 600 workers. All right, do your thing, Adam. Do your thing. I'm not mad at you. It is Caribbean owned, regionally owned, Jamaican owned, and we talk about building within the region intra-regionally. So I'm here for it. It's a win-win. Um, it's not just brand Jamaica, it's brand the Caribbean. And say what you want to say about the Stewart family. They have done a phenomenal job in their ventures. And of course, the lives of many have been changed because of it, not just to those who work in the hotels, but other persons, other businesses have benefited from their presence all across the Caribbean. All right. So keep up the good work, Adam. And what can I say? You know, any comments before I move on? All right. Next up, Exxon Mobil. You're up. Um, your tax practices, Exxon Mobil. Let's talk about that. I would like some information though. I want to know if they have settled their tax bill over there in Antigua, because I know Gaston was not happy, and I want to believe that they did. All right, next article. ExxonMobil's tax practices in Guyana under scrutiny amid financial disparities. Oh boy. This one, courtesy of Caribbean National Weekly. ExxonMobil Limited, Guyana, the operator of the Stabroek block, has come under increasing scrutiny for its tax practices, with concerns raised over the company's tax payments and its decision to funnel 15% of its earnings to the Bahamas, where it is legally registered. This move has sparked questions about whether the company is paying its fair share of taxes in Guyana. At a recent press conference, country manager Alistair Routledge defended ExxonMobil's tax contributions, insisting it would be inaccurate to claim that the company isn't paying taxes to the government of Guyana. He explained, while we don't specifically pay corporate income tax, we do pay other taxes like withholding taxes and royalties. In fact, ExxonMobil Guyana paid Guyanese $49.5 billion, which is approximately US $250 million in taxes to the Guyana Revenue Authority in 2023. Routledge clarified that the final figure for 2024 is still pending, but emphasized that the company complies with all local tax regulations. However, he did not deny that ExxonMobil pays taxes to the Bahamas where it is registered. He instead urged the public to focus on the benefits that the oil deal brings to the country, stating, what's important for the country and the investment partnership is how the contract delivers revenue. The production sharing agreement, PSA, is about ensuring that the contract works for both sides and we comply with local taxes. Well, let me say this. Me not gonna knock him enough. I am not gonna knock him. You find a fool, you carry him further. Isn't that how business is? Isn't that how a lot of people operate? If you come to the negotiation table to do business with me, to engage with me, and I put forth my stipulations, knowing good and well that they're more in my favor, and you agree, you can't years down the road come knock me and blame me feet. That's on you, boo. That's on you. There should have been some back and forth. What can I say? This should be a learning lesson for Guyana. Learn from this, that going forward, any renegotiations, any renewals of contracts, see to it that the terms are fair, that the terms are beneficial to your country when we talk about taxes, because he's letting you know we might not pay one tax, but we pay other taxes. What more do you want? That's what you agreed to. So now you want to come at me? No. You dropped the ball. But what is 250 million US? What's that? Don't they make that in a month, or if not a day, globally? Exxon? Really and truly, what is 250 million US?
And was that 1 year or was that more than 1 year?
That was in 2023. 1 year's taxes. And I remember they say, yes, then pay royalty. Listen, there's a term for people who do business like that. And it's not that they're deceptive. They come with what they know is going to be best for them. It's for you now to say, no. We need to include this tax at this rate in addition to. Because remember, You, at the end of the day, you're still going to be making more money than me. But I need to take care of my country, my people. I need to see to it that I'm able to support the infrastructure of my country in the varying capacities. So, Ali, see to it that your people do a better job. The next round, business is a ruthless game, okay? Hey, James, go ahead. Good morning.
Hey, morning. Yeah, but remember, we had this conversation last year from the initial stage. Exxon tried to pull a fast one on the government, right? Remember, we talk about the inflated cost of setup and to retrieve that money, and the price that they put on it. Someone checked and found out that it was I think quoted in you something. They said that some error was made by the Trinidad accounting company firm um when the Guyanese government caught up on them, and that they would have lost billions in US dollars if the Guyanese government didn't catch up on them. So they have been trying to, yeah, that's just how they operate. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it better just leave the oil in the ground and make it stay. Yeah, because these companies are not, especially when it come on to Caribbean and African nation, because I'm sure BP, when BP operating in America, they can't do this foolishness in America. And if Exxon operating in like any of them European country, they can't do them foolishness. So them take third world like Caribbean or Africa or whatever. Yeah, that's where they go and do them nonsense.
But again, James, a person can only do to you what you allow them to do. Let's be frank. Let us be honest. You notice the Bahamas, where they're registered, them have to pay them taxes. You realize that?
Yeah, but don't you hear that Bahamas is going bankrupt?
Bahamas that's poor money management over there.
It's not poor money management. Their money is leaking left, right, and center.
So it's poor, if it's money is leaking, James, the money poor money management. Then.
No, but the thing is, like, they allow the cruise because I talk about it all the time. That cruise thing might as well don't make no more cruise ship coming in a country, because the cocoa, what they call it, cocoa keys, they should not have sell that place to the cruise, because Bahamas, the money that they make from cruise ship, they received something like 8 million people last year, and they got like peanuts. Just imagine 8 million tourists.
So whose fault is that, James?
No, sometimes it's corruption.
No. Okay, let's stick up in there. But in terms of revenue from the cruise industry, whose fault is it why they're not generating what they should have generated from it? You're going to blame the cruise companies, or you're going to blame Bahamas?
Well, it's. I think politics is involved in it. Some of these people that just strong arm these governments, use geopolitics and strong arm them and just take over their country.
Well, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, if a company comes into my country and they get away with certain things, I have to blame myself. I have to hold myself accountable. And because I was desperate or become a want this relationship, me go with it. I had the choice to say, no, you cannot set up shop here because you're not agreeing to my terms and conditions. If me have to wait 5-10 years for the right deal to come along, so be it. But a lot of times we do things and then we end up regretting, and then we want to pass the blame to somebody else. But we need to learn to take accountability for our decision in the terms of engagement. I don't know. Go ahead, Jack.
For me, at the end of the day, sometimes when you have these ideas, or people bring these ideas to a country, you don't know how well it may do. So maybe they unfortunately undersold the idea of cruise ships coming to a place, or the notoriety, not the notoriety, can't find the word, but more people taking cruises. So the amount of ships, maybe when they first signed the deal, was much less. And they didn't think about the future. That's why sometimes you have to think ahead a few years. You have to go, and then at the end of the day, we don't even know if they did or did not do that. This is all
speculation. Yeah.
That we're speaking on. It's speculation right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And another thing, too, I'm glad you raised that point, Ja, because what's important when you talk about business and you're entering into contractual agreements, have a clause in there, have a bullet in there, something where it is to be revised within, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. It's just like lease agreements. You renew a lease every 2 years or every so many years. And you're able to renegotiate. And you see that them stare them go. But a lot of times, where a lot of developing countries, small island developing states in particular, we act from a place of desperation. And that is what our problem is. Never do anything when you're desperate. Don't do it. Because 9 times out of 10, we tend to regret the decisions that we make. You know, but it's business. It's business.
Moments, I think you're overlooking how some of these government, because why are these things not happening to predominantly white countries? A lot of these companies align themselves with political leaders and they operate like the mafia. You know, I remember when I was watching the movie American Gangster, and when the gangster go into one of the store and say, "Can I invest in this shoe store?" And the owner said no. And the guy put a gun to him head and said, "I'm not asking you, I'm telling you."
So like, you're saying that a gun was put to the head of the Bahamas?
That is what we see it every day in Africa. We see like some of, like, even when you see like some of the African leaders with the USAID thing, and some of them with some of the deals that were made, that they come and they give them aid, and the deal that was made that they have to destroy certain things in order to get certain aid. We see it happen all the time right across Africa. We see it happen in Haiti with the rice. We see it happen in Jamaica with manufacturing and stuff like that. Them do it all the time. Them come and them bring something, and it's like a mafia type of thing. If you don't take it, you can't stand up to we. Like if we decide we're gonna cut off, look at the last Trump administration when they went to Jamaica and they say the guy, I can't remember his name, but he went to Andrew Willis and said, "Look, you need to cut back on your relationship with China with that 5G thing, because Donald Trump will shut off Jamaica entire banking system, because China 5G will be able to track everything in Jamaica and steal American information." That's the tactic that they use and scare governments. So yeah, they're mafias.
I honestly just say, but at the end of the day, it's still a choice. Ultimately, we make the choice. Even if it's a gun is put to our head, we make the choice. Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Yes, it's easy to say that, you know. If you're living in a country, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
If you live in a country, you have to liken it to you having kids. There are decisions you can make because you don't want harm to come to your kids. Not because you like the decision, not because it's the best decision for the family, but sometimes it's the one that will protect the kids. And you may just be the sacrificial lamb to protect your family, your country. I mean, most governments, most politicians does mean good, most, at least from the inception. But when they get in there, sometimes what they have to operate in, the environment, it's not easy. For instance, it's easy for us to look at places like Burkina Faso and talk about how great Traoré is doing. But Traoré don't have to go to parliament and convince half the people in there to vote for him, and he could just make decisions. And that's the advantage we have in revolutionary states. They could make decisions in the interest. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's right. But when you find a revolutionary leader that is on the right path, the kind of progress he could make in a short space of time is, you cannot compare it. So for instance, we cannot compare him to a Senegal. You would not see that kind of development. And that is sometimes what we have to realize. It's a chess game. They have their hand tied in certain areas. It's always a give and take. There's nobody that always win. So sometimes we have to give people grace.
At the end of the day, it's still all everything we're saying, it still boils down to the choice we make. Whether it's for good or whether it's for bad or whether it's because we feel our hands are tied, it still is a choice.
Moment. You obviously don't know how gangster operate. Trust me. Like,
James, I'm not saying, listen, you don't have to beat the horse until it's dead. I understand everything y'all are saying. But I'm saying it's still a choice. Me choose to live or die, right? If a gangster come to me, I know that the choice I make will determine if I live or die. So it's still a what, James? Choice. That's all I'm saying. Everything we do in this life is a choice. You go on a job interview, they offer you the job, and they said to you, okay, I'm going to pay you $35,000 a year for this job. Now the ball is in whose court? Your court. You decide if you want that job, yes or no. No, sir. Whose choice is it? And even if they put a gun to your head, you make the choice. Ultimately, that's all I'm saying. Everything we do in life is a choice. We choose to do everything we do, whether it's going to cost us our life or not. I just say go. I totally get what you're saying. Totally get what everybody's saying. All right. Oh, we're still in Ghana, by the way. Still in Ghana. The world has rarely seen a place like Guyana for deep water projects. Ghana is the golden girl of the Caribbean. According to KTRNewsOnline.com, Exxon again has been able to shift the norms in the oil and gas industry with the world-class assets the company discovered off the shores of Guyana in May 2015. With the oil giant jumping from discovery to production in less than 5 years, the company believes the world has rarely seen a place like Guyana for deep water developments. This was explained by Hunter Thurs, Senior Vice President of Deepwater ExxonMobil, during the fourth installment of the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, which was hosted between February 18 and 21. This year's premier energy conference was held under the theme Connecting the Dots, Integrating the Future. Thurs, during a keynote presentation, told conference delegates that thanks to the collective efforts of business partners, industry leaders, and local contractors, we now witness what is rightly being described as one of the most incredible success stories the world has ever seen. What you're witnessing, which we're living out in real time, is the epic underdog tale of Guyana's oil and gas development. Development that has only just begun to transform this country and its economy, and to benefit Guyana citizens in ways big and small, the vice president said. He was keen to note that in practically no time, Guyana's oil discoveries have catapulted the nation into the ranks of the world's oil superpowers. According to him, by the standards of our industry, which undertakes and executes projects with multi-decade timelines, this has happened practically overnight. Traditionally, it would take a decade or longer to produce the first barrels of oil from a significant deep water discovery, especially in a new country. But thanks to the dedication and focus of Guyana's stakeholders, as well as skills and expertise of ExxonMobil's scientists, engineers, and business partners, we accelerated the process, achieving first oil safely and responsibly in December of 2019. And there goes why they're not they're if you notice, they just showed us the terms of negotiation. And that is why they pay what they pay to Ghana, or they see it fit to pay what they pay to Ghana, because they're telling you that they're the ones with the skills and the expertise. It's their scientists, their engineers, their business partners. So guess what? We hold the handle, you all hold the blade, Ghana. So now, Ghana, what are you going to do based on that information? How are you going to move forward with the next contract or if not with Exxon, with other oil companies? Are you going to see to it that you have scientists that can work alongside, that you have engineers that can work alongside, that you have business partners that can be a part of the venture? They're making it clear to you, Guyana, why they have the leverage or the upper hand. Is it 100% their scientists, their engineers? I hope not. Go ahead, Mr. President.
I am just looking at the whole Ghana situation, and I know sometimes saying the current president is doing so good because he building a couple houses and doing a couple stuff, giving away a little bit of money. But I wonder if history would say we were wrong. Because when you look at the amount that Exxon and them is getting out of Guyana, one question sometimes have to sit back and wonder, what deal is Guyana making? And then when we look at the same, for instance, transformation that's happening in the Sahel states, you have to ask yourself what is happening in Ghana? Is it revolutionary or is it tokenism? No, you really have to think about it. Because if you look at how fast they went from exploration to production, if you look at how fast the oil wells has been multiplying, every day you find another one. One really has to wonder what is in it for Guyana. Because we know what is in it for them. But what deal are we signing off on? When you look at right now, everybody's heading to Guyana. And my thing is, I hope Guyana don't get too excited and then give away everything that they should be keeping. If you really sit down and think about it, look at every day Guyana is in the news. Every day somebody else is forming some deal. This person want to refine. This person want to do this. The question is, should Guyana be looking at, instead of taking all our money and trying to form all this partnership, should we be refining our own oil? Should we be setting up different infrastructure system with our own 50-year plan? Or should we just thinking that if we give the citizens a couple of $100, if we build a couple of houses, if we build a few hospitals, like this is so great, when these are the bare minimum to exist efficiently as a government?
So
I think we may be selling ourselves short. So I'm not sure.
Do I hear you agreeing with me then in terms of negotiation that we're entering into?
Yeah, I don't want to speak out of turn. But from the outside looking in, it's starting to get suspect.
Ruthless. Yeah. And it's because we're so licky, we end up selling ourselves short. There you have it. All right. Go ahead, James. Go right ahead.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, for me, I believe the same thing is going to happen to Jamaica. Because only God can come down and tell me now that they don't find oil in Jamaica. I believe that there's oil there. No, trust me.
We all feel the same way, James.
No,
we
it's
all
there.
Feel the same way.
And the thing, because the thing is, just imagine you have no idea, but like, if you, like, say for example, like, if I'm someone like can cook and you can cook, I'm gonna tell you, say, one bag of flour will make 30 dumpling, right? and the reality is that one bag of flour will make like 200 dumpling, but you don't know because you never made dumpling yet. That is what happened. Like when you see all these oil thing popping up, the Guyanese government, they have no idea what they're sitting on. So these experts can come and they can go and do the exploration, and them can find 2 million barrels and say they want to find 500,000. And I think that is what's happening there. And I believe that the reason why the cat come out of the bag and then push back the cat in the bag fast with Jamaica is because that is going to be Jamaica's fate too.
Oh, Jesus. I find this amusing. Sorry. But you have some, you said some valid things there, James. Yeah. Then get a 6 for a 9. Then get them a 6 for a 9. All right, moving around. Did someone else have another comment? And I keep
Yes, just a quick
good
one.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I come here on behalf of the exploiters. Normally, when we do deals like that, it's usually a mutually beneficial arrangement. Are you?
Oh gosh. You see you? Thank you for representing the exploiters very well. All right, next up. Oh geez, I'm Haiti. Your turn. Our next article, Caribbean nations haven't sent all forces to Haiti to join Kenya-led mission. And let us take a look at just as to the reasons why. This article, courtesy of the Miami Herald. Long before Guatemala and El Salvador agreed to deploy military forces to join the international armed mission to help Haiti's beleaguered security forces fight terrorizing gangs, Jamaica raised its hand. The country, just 118 miles west of Haiti, not only has one of the more experienced militaries in the Caribbean when it comes to taking on criminal gangs alongside police. Its defense force has been increasingly focusing on digital threats, which Haitian gangs are rapidly using to announce attacks and show their prowess. Still, as the security situation in Haiti grows more desperate, with gangs expanding their territory to now control as much as 90% of Port-au-Prince, the English-speaking Caribbean nation still hasn't fully deployed, nor have the Bahamas, Belize, or any of the other Caribbean countries that volunteered to field police and military to the Kenya-led multinational security support mission in Haiti. The delay, observers say, is both a matter of funding as well as of safety, which hit home Sunday when the mission confirmed its first casualty, a Kenyan police officer. The cop was injured during a firefight with gangs in the Artibonite region north of Port-au-Prince and died after he was airlifted by members of the Salvadoran army. The details of what happened have still not been made public, but the dangers that Haiti's crisis continues to pose loomed large last week as the 15-member Caribbean Community Regional Bloc, known as CARICOM, discussed the ongoing problems in Haiti, a member country. The region continues to be committed to ensuring that Haiti is stabilized and that the security situation can be brought into order. That's according to Mia Motley, Barbados' Prime Minister and current CARICOM chair. Last month, the United Nations reported that gang-related violence had led to the killings of more than 5,600 people in 2024, and more than 1 million are now internally displaced. Barbados became the latest country to publicly back out of deploying a contingent to join the Kenyan mission. Our position really has always been that our members are better suited in providing the technical support. We don't have the numbers that other countries have with respect to the capacity to offer those boots on the ground. The Caribbean forces in Haiti include 31 soldiers and police officers from Jamaica, Belize, and the Bahamas. Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness said he remains committed to deploying the 200 security personnel he pledged in September. At the time, Holness said the initial group, which include the mission's deputy force commander, would lay out the command structure and prepare for the future deployment. So what's taking so long for everybody to show up? Huh?
Nobody wants to be that Kenyan policeman.
Yep. But don't you think there's a little more to it? I don't know why I feel there's somebody whispering in the airs, um, and that is creating hesitancy, and of course, the hesitancy now bringing concern. Yeah.
Because the thing is, the deployment of those police forces are not meant to change the status quo. They're just meant to keep a forced peace.
Is it that we're reading too much into it, or we're just to take it at face value per articles?
No, not necessarily. It's, I mean, if we read the tea leaves, the question is,
The Kenyan tea leaves owned by the Brits.
No. These are British tea leaves. Sorry. Man, there will be no. That's slander. Sorry.
My apologies.
It's important to understand that the interest that is being served in Haiti is not for the Asian people. It's for external interest, and as long as that is the case, you will continue to see people being offered as a sacrifice for capitalism in Haiti. And that is what that police officer just did. Basically, just sacrificed himself for capital. Are you?
No lies.
Yeah, like I think the Caribbean CARICOM should back out. They should not send anybody over there.
Why you said that, James?
No, because I think CARICOM is going to be used to do, other people's dirty work. And I don't think we should volunteer to do that. And I believe that the Prime Minister of Barbados got some information why she's not sending anybody. And to me, until someone sit down, I know America have this thing that we don't negotiate with terrorists or whatever, but until someone sit down with barbecue and talk and see what's really happening on the ground, I don't think Caribbean should send any more people over there, because I'm going to believe what he said, right? I'm going to believe barbecue words, that what he said, and that's not only his sentiment, that if the people of Haiti cannot be wealthy from their wealth, then everybody's going to suffer. He said that out of his word. Everybody's going to suffer if all of us that from Haiti can't enjoy our wealth. So somebody need to sit down with him, and either they divide up the country or whatever, like how, for now, but I don't think the Caribbean should send people to die over there, to kill our brothers and sisters, and then for them to kill us. No, don't do the dirty work for them.
Yeah, valid.
But moments, the Caribbean leaders are not stupid. Some of them hands might be tied, but they know what's going on. They have seen this playbook before. And I could guarantee you there is no Caribbean leader that is sending nobody in Haiti. They would walk along with the Haitian people. They would send the aid, but nobody is putting guns. For instance, name one Caribbean island that has guns on the ground, where you really have troops. They're not going to do that. Imagine you sending a grenadier, a country that have 5 murders for the year, to go to fight in Haiti for what? What is he actually fighting for? He gonna turn and ask you what he's fighting for, and it's not like here where they will lock you up. People will tell you straight up they're not going.
And
go ahead. No, man, you go ahead.
It's even more worrying that the gentleman who loves him some Trump in Jamaica is offering to only send 200. 200. Wow. Okay.
In our next article, let's hop on over to Jamaica. Great segue, by the way. Outpatient appointments, elective surgeries have been suspended across the health sector. This article courtesy of Nationwide Radio JM.com. The Ministry of Health is advising the public about the interruption of services at facilities across the island after medical consultants called in sick for a second straight day. The ministry says clinic appointments at outpatient departments of hospitals and elective surgeries in public hospitals have been suspended until further notice. As such, patients will be advised of the new dates for these appointments. The ministry is also advising people to contact their primary care physician for medical advice, follow basic hygiene practices, and manage existing health conditions by taking prescribed medications and adhering to treatment plans. They are also urging people to visit their nearest emergency department in the event of a life-threatening situation. The medical consultants, who are senior doctors, are engaged in a dispute with the Ministry of Finance over the payment of retroactive salaries. The doctors are represented by the Association of Government Medical Consultants. They say reports that the payments they've been anticipating to be paid in this fiscal year will now not be paid until the new financial year. Makes them feel undervalued. I don't know why we're taking long to pay the folks. I mean, it was a no-brainer when we had the 100%, 200%, and 300% salary increases for members of parliament. Go right ahead, Mr. President.
How is it we could have paid parliaments 200% increase retroactively,
Then I
and
don't
there
pay
was
attention.
no problem fulfilling the request in the current fiscal year?
And that me I said too. And that
But
me just said.
you cannot pay the medical staff that you're so dear and you applaud so much. Huh? You
Go figure.
These are the essential workers that are keeping your country going in a place with a degraded healthcare system at best. Degraded.
Mhm.
The Jamaica healthcare system right now is horrible. Has not gotten an upgrade. What, maybe since Monday? I don't know. I don't know the exact date. And you telling me these are the people that are working under all kind of conditions to keep your healthcare system going as smooth as they can, and sacrificing. You cannot find the money to pay them, but you could find the money to give the prime minister and them increase. Come on.
And that me I said too. Our priorities are not in check, are not in order. Where can we find people who are willing to leaders, representatives who are willing to put the needs of the people first before themselves, who will see to it, you know what? Let us improve from the bottom up. Let us secure the foundation and work upward. Go ahead, James.
I think what Jamaica need is a dunce prime minister, because no, seriously, our
So we
leaders
can
are
qualify them. So we can't run them.
our leaders are too educated. Like I see Andrew Holness. Like Andrew Holness can talk you for jump off our bridge. That's how convincing he is. I'm watching this man speaking to Jamaicans in Barbados, telling them that look, within the next 5 years or so, like America, Canada, Europe are going to be begging Jamaicans to come and work for them. He went on to say, look, they are going to get rid of all visa restrictions for Jamaican when me done with the economy. Them are going to want Jamaicans so bad that we're not going to need visa for go anywhere. And at that time, we're going to be so good. We're going to tell them like, look, we're making enough money at Jamaica. You come over here. We don't have to come there to make money again. You know, that's the economy that he's building. 3% unemployment rate. You know, so
Leave my
I
prime
think
minister alone.
he's a motivational speaker. That's all I can say. Because all
I
of this big talk and you can't pay the nurses.
So I have a comment here on YouTube. Pay the people for their work. I bet if each of them stop working, that money will appear magically. I agree with you. I agree. I totally agree. We have to do better. Go ahead, Mr. President.
You see, the point I was trying to make is the same point James make. It's costing the country X amount of money to train these people. Okay? And we have places like the UK that are poaching nurses and medical staff from us. And you're making it difficult for the people to achieve their to do their jobs, their daily jobs. When they know, and a lot of the people that stay are the ones that want to stay, because it is such a way that there is an open pipeline to sniff them out from all over. Nurses in the Caribbean, they are poached. So why aren't you trying to, and you telling, oh, but they will come begging. They at the rate they would not have to come begging, because you're treating them so bad. People will be willing to run and leave you alone there.
Jamaica is a joke. We need to get it together, Jamaica. Go right ahead, Adesoji.
We do have enough nurses from Malawi. We don't need from Jamaica. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, the facetiousness. Oh boy, pay the people them. Quick and fast. What? Why should it is always a situation where people have to take extreme measures to the detriment of innocent people.
And it's not like we don't have the money.
That is it.
The unaccounted 3 billion. Oh, sorry.
Trillion.
Yeah, okay,
It's
3.
not, hi. Back up. It's not unaccounted. It's just unaudited.
Okay. Yeah, something of that ilk. Yeah, something of that ilk.
Miss Jennifer.
All the money have salted away that we can't quite decide what to do with it.
Now we have made it clear. If you're going to build,
or better still, there's a better idea. Before that money that was earmarked, the money that Mr. President said earlier with regards to the Member of Parliament emoluments, right? Before it's disbursed, why don't we share out that money to the medical sector first, and then if we get some more money, I'm sure we can come around to paying the MPs.
Yeah, man.
Moments. Didn't we speak about a reserve fund that was some time back that was fully funded, and that money was just there? That they had a couple millions or billions in reserve for some fund. I can't remember the exact detail. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong at all.
I don't understand why teachers, nurses, doctors, these people, the security policemen, why are they always at the bottom of the pecking order when these are the people that we need? Teachers and nurses is people that should be of the highest order.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people taking care of the health of your nation. These are the people educating your nation. How we do not have them as priority does just flow me every single time.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great concern, so I have to agree with the comment on YouTube from Ro. I bet if each of them stop working, that money will appear magical. I must say everybody, we mean everybody. Quick comment and then we keep it going. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. I think they need to pay the teacher and the nurse them first. The police them can wait a little bit because them at least the police can hustle. Them can stop you and give you a ticket.
All right.
Yeah, them can.
Them must write their ticket.
Yeah, them can do that. But the nurses and the teacher them can't hustle. And I would need the teachers. Those are the two most important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the police is important because of crime, but as I say, them can hustle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The nurse that must sell out the medication or whatever, the equipment to make some money.
Well, we have to eat our food. All right, moving right along. Thank you, James. Next article, we head on over to Martinique. Martinique moves closer to CARICOM associate membership. Okay. Martinique. Okay. I don't know why I thought they already were, but anyway, according to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com, the French overseas territory of Martinique has taken a major step toward becoming an associate member of the Caribbean Community CARICOM after officially ceding to the regional body during the 48th Heads of Government meeting in Barbados last week. The agreement was signed by Barbados Prime Minister and CARICOM Chair Mia Motley and Serge I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, who is president of the Territorial Collectivity of Martinique. According to an official press statement, the move marks a historic milestone in Martinique's long journey toward regional integration, following its official request to join CARICOM over a decade ago. While Martinique's accession is a significant achievement, the process is not yet complete. The final step requires ratification through the approval of the Protocol on Privileges and Immunities by the French National Assembly before Martinique can officially attain associate member status. As an associate member, Martinique will not have voting rights in CARICOM decisions, similar to other associate members such as Cuba and the Dominican Republic. However, the accession, yeah, that may I say, I don't know why I'm hearing one thing, but something else in my brain. Opens new opportunities for strengthening exchanges between Martinique as part of the European Union and the 21 CARICOM nations and territories, which together represent approximately 18 million people. Will this be to their benefit? When you're an associate member of CARICOM, what does that really mean? Eh? What, to what avail?
It means you're not really a member. I think
I've only gotten observer status.
yeah.
We see you. That's it. We just see you.
So Martinique was the island that I was trying to remember yesterday. Remember I told you some island had new visa restriction. So I think someone told me that it's Martinique. I think it was effective last year. Jamaicans need some what they call Shenyang. I don't even know say a visa near Shenyang. I think I want to say name so some Shenyang visa and I think American visa, but or Canadian passport, American passport, or something like visa or something like that in order to go there. So that is the problem that I can, because if they're going to be associate member now, can Jamaicans go there without visa now?
Okay,
so I don't know.
I jumped on Google, James, and I pulled up associate member of the Caribbean community. So of course, the Caribbean community, CARICOM, has several associate members, and they include Anguilla, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. So, CARICOM member states and associate members benefit from assistance services, monetary donations, financial grants, and essential food and medical supplies from the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. There we have it. That's okay. We're okay with that.
No.
So, I mean, come on. At least they'll get like a help here and there. You know, we show them a daggy bone. Yeah.
No, but why they can't be? I think like Martin, because they're French, right?
Yes, they're French.
And you can't become an official member if you're still under the French. If you're still a colony, a French colony, right? I think that's a problem.
Hold on a second,
Yeah,
James.
I think that's a problem.
Something.
So
I wonder if they are welcoming them now and very soon, fully.
Yeah,
because France have faced some money problem. You know, the good girl France, she not so cute again.
I think they would have to leave France to get full status.
The kitty run dry because remember, in Africa kick out France. The different countries across the continent are kicking France out. So kitty dry? The kitty are dry up. So they have to get rid of the little side pieces one by one. You know, when the man married, they have him 100 side girl. And as things get tight and the money are dry up, the side chick them start move along. I wonder if that go on. Lord have mercy. Boy, because
Moment, you have to explain better because remember I'm Jamaican. Like,
I'm so sorry.
Dry kitty is
okay. The bank account are dry up. The money no longer get. So you know, Martinique is probably saying, "Whoa, get me in the fold, at least keep me on the side." Because eventually there may be the possibility that we will no longer be recognized by France, as France's financial situation is becoming dire, and that is as a result of various countries across the continent of Africa telling them to pack up and leave. They don't want them there, limiting access to resources off of which France has become rich over the years. So that could be a strong possibility, something to explore.
Moments, was it Martinique that was under fire last year? The protests with France raising food prices there? I think it was Martinique.
Yeah, it was Martinique and Guadeloupe.
Yeah, so you never see smoke without fire. Yeah. That's what the fire don't know.
See that? Thank God for good memories. Go on, pick up your ginseng, James.
France about forget it. What do you call it? What the letter what you give when you get rid of dumb somebody?
E45?
Where should I get them divorced?
Dear John, dear John.
Oh, that's it. Me don't know. Me don't know what the letter. Me don't know. Me know about divorce. You get to you ask for the car one letter come here tell us that these are divorce proceedings. Me don't know. That me don't know, James, what you call it? You tell me.
Dear John.
Dear John. You have to explain it, Dear John. Me don't understand what Dear John is. Give it to me. Explain to me a little better. Dear John.
You don't say it face to face. You just send a letter, kind of like ghosting.
Okay. No, we do it by text. We do it on Twitter now, on X. That's how you do a separation now on X. All right, moving right along. Our next article: Trinidad and Tobago seeks extension for Venezuela gas project. This article comes to us courtesy of oilprice.com. Trinidad and Tobago will request an extension to a U.S. license to continue developing a natural gas field offshore Venezuela in partnership with Shell, sources familiar with the plans have told Reuters. The U.S. Treasury in early 2023 granted a license to Trinidad and Tobago, allowing the Caribbean nation to develop the Dragon gas field offshore Venezuela and to do business related to the gas field with Venezuela's state oil farm, PDVSA. Even with U.S. sanctions on Venezuela and its state oil firm and the central bank, the U.S. administration has regularly granted licenses to foreign operators in Venezuela, including to Chevron. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, which develops the project via its national gas company, is seeking an extension to the 2023 license from the Trump administration. The current license expires in October 2025, but the partners, Trinidad's NGC and Shell, will need it extended before starting production from the Dragon project offshore Venezuela. The final investment decision for the project is expected later this year, with first gas set for about 2027. All right, and Virgin Islands, Europe next, according to loopnews.com. The Virgin Islands Police launch gun amnesty program. Oh, okay. The Virgin Islands Police Department has announced a gun buyback initiative across the territory in partnership with Senators Franklin Johnson and Dwayne DeGraff. The program offers residents cash compensation. This is for surrendering unwanted firearms with no questions asked. This initiative provides residents with the opportunity to dispose of unwanted firearms and receive cash compensation on site. The event aims to protect the Virgin Islands residents from gun violence and maintain community safety. The buyback events will be held on 3 separate dates in St. Croix: Saturday, March 8, 2025, from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Agricultural Fairgrounds East Entrance, again, St. Croix, Saturday, March 8, 2025, at the Agricultural Fairgrounds East Entrance from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're in St. Thomas, Saturday, March 22nd, from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Omar Brown Fire Station. If you're in St. John, Saturday, March 29, from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at a location to be announced. All right. Participants will receive immediate cash payment based on fair appraisal values determined by on-site evaluators. All right, folks. So if you're in the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, March 8, March 22, March 29, 8:30 to 3, please take advantage of the opportunity to turn over, surrender your weapons through the gun buyback initiative, the gun amnesty program. No questions asked. All right? Okay, good.
Moments, that don't make no sense.
What do you mean it don't make no sense? We did it in Jamaica, didn't we have?
Yeah, but moments, remember, in the island, everybody know everybody. Like everybody, like no, honestly, everybody know everybody. It's so small, everybody know. Like, so if me bring a gun come in, you know me already. No, I mean, I don't see that working.
You're worried?
It is no, because it's too small. like in Jamaica, like if you go and bring in a gun, chances are nobody don't know you. But in those islands, like literally everybody know everybody. You know, so I don't see that working.
Okay, did you say so? All right. There's a video that Adesoji wants me to play. Oh, but not yet, not yet, not yet. Before I move on to the next segment. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. No pun intended. All right, next up, Nationwide Radio JM has our next article for us where we go down in our coffee pot for our entertainment news segment. It's not one that we will be lauding and applauding. Um, I think it speaks to our lack of poor or lack of judgment. Let me put it that way. I was going to say lack of poor judgment. No, that's not what I'm saying. Lack of judgment or poor judgment calls. So, according to Nationwide Radio JM.com, dancehall entertainer Squash is facing increased scrutiny of his legal status in the United States. This after being held on gun related charges in Miami, Florida. Squash was arrested in Miami, Florida around 3:22 on Tuesday morning. According to arrest reports, the artist has been charged with possession of a firearm and carrying a concealed firearm without a permit. According to the report, Squash was charged with being in possession of a short barreled shotgun, rifle, or machine gun. The details of his arrest have not yet been ascertained. However, the 32-year-old could face the prospect of being deported to Jamaica after authorities in Florida placed him on an immigration hold. Being placed on an immigration hold means immigration authorities will detain an individual while they determine their immigration status. Reports are Squash faced similar scrutiny in 2023 when he was detained in Miami after allegedly overstaying his work visa. Squash, whose given name is Andre Maurice Whitaker, shot to prominence in the last decade with a string of dancehall hits as a member of the Six group out of Montego Bay, St. James. However, he has also been dogged by suspicions of being linked to the criminal underworld. Allegations he has denied. In 2022, Squash and two other alleged members of the G City gang, including the reputed leader of the organization, were implicated in a double murder in Florida. At the time, Jareem Shelton, otherwise called J-Man, was charged with double murder. According to court records, Squash was named by an informant as being a member of the G City gang. The informant told authorities in the US that the G City gang were at odds with the bad breed gang. When I'm not reporting our news.
No, continue reading. I'm reading about Squash's prominence. Go on.
Oh, Lord. So, according to court records, Squash was named by an informant as being a member of the G City gang. The informant told authorities in the US that the G City gang were at odds with the bad breed gang. The conflict originated in Salt Spring, St. James, with the alleged leaders being Fred Mann for G City and Marvin Brown, otherwise called Ramos, based in Atlanta, Georgia. You is an idiot. You know you have this thing on your back and you're going to be, you know what? So what am I doing? Waste my time feel sorry for him? I don't know. Am I supposed to be, what am I to do with him?
Nothing really.
Okay.
So
why am I wasting my time talking about him?
Is a 32-year-old that has no sense of critical thinking, no self-awareness, and what else can I say?
Oh, waste of my time. Sorry, I just wasted a couple minutes of my time. This is the life you pick up, right? Consequences of our choices. Everything we do in life is a choice that we make. So now, what am I to do with this information? You know, Safran 2022. Let's go back to 2022. You have been on the radar. You know, keep yourself quiet. Keep yourself quiet. So what? No, everybody must sorry for him. 2022, you had issues, right? 2023, you had issues. And you come back again in a 2025 with more issues. So it's what you like problems. Some of us do. And, when you move in certain circles, certain things are going to happen, right? Here's what we have to do, young people. When you get, so I understand that some of us have to make certain choices for whatever reasons. You make your choices for whatever reasons because at particular moments in time, that was what was beneficial for you. Now, when you get the opportunity to move away. Leave the former things behind you. Do not become a pillar of salt like Lot's wife when they were told to leave, and don't look back. A lot of times we create our own hindrances, our own roadblocks. We build our own or dig our own graves because of the choices we make. So you get into the music business, leave everything else behind, focus on your music, use that as your opportunity to propel and change the trajectory, pivot. You can now become a positive influence. I don't know.
Yeah.
Squash.
Yeah, no, because remember, like, was it 2 years ago? Like he was, his name was called up in some stuff, same place too, in Florida.
Well,
Like
no,
one of
according
his,
to the article, yeah. So
yeah, I remember one of his friends got killed, right? In some incident, and I don't know this. These guys are crazy because, like, since Donald Trump became president, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people in the entertainment are in the vlogosphere in Jamaica expecting him a footer hype, even without this. They're expecting that Donald Trump is eventually going to hold on to them and send them out, and him get caught up in stuff like this. Yeah, that is just crazy. There's no chance of him staying in America. Zero chance.
exactly. I mean, come on, man. Come on. A lot of us get the opportunity to make a positive change, and we don't. We waste our opportunities. Well, now you got sit down and think about what you're going to do with your life. That's all I can.
I just don't care about what he do with his life, But is when you send them back to to the islands, they go back with their nonsense behavior in these islands, and then they disrupt our society.
Mhm.
That is what I have a problem with.
I agree.
When you make them citizens and they come here and they do all this nonsense, keep them in your jails. Don't send them to terrorize us.
I agree. We
Yeah.
have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Prezi.
No, I was just agreeing and basically correlating it with what we were discussing earlier this week. Based on what as a president said, where them send them back in a society, and then of course, I mean clearly them not gonna necessarily be no upstanding citizen. So now you so then now when you try to curtail crime and all the different issues, is like you send all of these criminals back into a place where literally them are trying to curtail whole crime thing. So in this case, I mean, it leads us back to the conversation we have when I say when it comes to the youth and influence of the crime and violence, most of them don't want change. Most of them just don't want change. The only thing can change them when they end up 6'6". So
That's it. That is it. That is it. Oh, some of us beg for opportunities, and then when we get the opportunities, we don't make the best of it. That make no sense. That make no sense whatsoever. We have more stories out of the Caribbean corner available for you on coffeeinto.com. I invite you to head on over to the website to www.coffeeinto.com and head to the tab that says there's more. You will find more stories from around the world. Out of the Caribbean corner, Anguillans head to the polls to elect a new government. Prime Minister announces changes to the cabinet of Barbados. A look at the criminal history of Rashawn Patterson. Kenyan police officer deployed to tackle gangs in Haiti killed. I think we brought that up in another article. But anyway, you can get more information about the Kenyan police officer. 5 wells, 2 surveys for Suriname's offshore basin. Trinidad High Court orders government to pay compensation to international tobacco distributor. Experts urge Caribbean resilience in response to U.S. policy shift, and 12 things you learn when moving to the Caribbean. So you can check those stories out again on coffeeinto.com. All right, on the There's More tab. Okay, and now it is time for stories out of Latin America. Las noticias, and our stories come to us from Chile, Cuba, Peru, and Panama. And I want to say thank you to everyone listening on QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio.com, MadMusicHouse.com, everyone watching on YouTube Live, and thank you to everyone right here with me on Fanbase. All right, so how one community in Chile is blessed and cursed with lithium. This article courtesy of NPR. The lithium in the brine beneath the brilliant white Atacama salt flat, which stretches out across the valley floor, has become a global resource. It holds the key to the global green energy transition. Communities that have inhabited the area for millennia are wondering what they themselves stand to gain. According to one named Cruz, our life is contained in that water, gesturing forlornly out towards the salt as she stands in the low doorway to her home. In the day it dries up, the day it dries up, we're dead as culture, and we will have to leave. They can give us all the money and resources they want, but we'll never get back what we're losing. Before it can be refined, lithium rich brine is pumped to the surface and mixed with groundwater, then slowly transferred between turquoise pools on the surface of the salt flat where it evaporates. The concentrated lithium carbonate salts are driven in great convoys of trucks to the city near the coast, where they are purified and exported to be made into batteries. And where do they end up? In your cell phones or electric vehicles. 3 companies have now set up operations on the Atacama Salt Flat. SQM, a Chilean chemical company, which has been operating there since the 1980s. US-based Albemarle Corp has had a concession since 2015, and Chinese electromobility plant giant BYD, are the latest to set up operations. All 3 have rental contracts with Chile's state development body, through which money is set aside for the sustainable development of the communities. According to Javier Silva, what I have seen in the area is that we're able to work, at least in some way, with each of the communities, which wasn't the case before. We're seeing that perceptions are improving, although you always find a wide range of opinions. As part of their contract with CORFO, SQM shares out $15 million per year equally between 19 communities in the area, while further payments are made according to factors such as population and distance from the mining operations. SQM has agreements with 5 communities through which it works on healthcare, education, cultural, and infrastructure projects. Residents in one of the towns at the far end of the salt flat, meanwhile, say they have had an agreement in place with Albemarle since 2012. Some of the money was used to lay a brand new soccer field at the foot of the town. BYD declined a request for comment. So, lithium, as we know, per article, is lucrative, right? It's a necessary component when we talk about EV batteries, lithium batteries, right? I don't know if I'm going to say yay, hooray, to what's the company here? SQM, that they share out $15 million per year between 19 companies. That's less than $1 million. Go ahead, Mr. President.
Moment. Look at the value of lithium, right? And just think for a minute.
Mhm.
One of your highlight project is that you build a soccer field. I could go to Chile and build a soccer field with 2 tractors, plant some grass. Sometimes they don't even put a pavilion. Then you boast infrastructure development. Usually it's the road to take you to the same mines, and you might extend it into the village at a portion of the village. When you're talking about education, it is usually preschool at best. If you get a secondary school, you're lucky, and they're probably teaching the native how to speak English. And we call that education. There is no development lab, there is no technology, there is no transfer of knowledge. It always amazes me that we give out the resources of a country, and the people who continue to live in poverty, if we open a preschool for them, or if we build a road so that they could go to the village and come back, somehow we think we have done them the world of good when we decimate all their culture and stuff like that. And I'm not saying we cannot find a balance, but the fact that a football pitch makes it to the front of that report means the deals are no good. I yield.
Well, thank you. I don't need to expound, none of that. I don't need to add because you've said it all. Yeah. So no hip hip hooray, jump and say yay. $15 million divided by 19 communities. How much is that? Let me calculate that. 15 million. It's less than $1 million per community, of course, right? Divide that by 19. That's $789,473 US per year per community. What I can do, I can do with that. But they're saying here it helps to the sustainable development of communities, where we talk about infrastructural support, healthcare, education, cultural, and infrastructure projects. It probably go a long way in those communities. I don't know. They're probably able to do much, but I don't think it's sufficient, quite frankly.
Yeah, moment. After everything that you read out this morning,
Mhm.
like what I'm sitting here thinking now is that China is looking beautiful and more beautiful every day. Trust me, because I'm not saying China make perfect deals, but my gosh, like these things that when you look at what's happening with Guyana, and I've not heard any China deal that can come anywhere close to any of these deals. So China is looking better and better every day right now to me.
You like? Okay. Well, what's your favorite Chinese dish? James?
Mala chicken.
Mala chicken. Myself. I was going to say something, but let me stop. All right, next up, U.S. expands visa restrictions on Cubans tied to labor export program. This article, courtesy of voanews.com. The United States has expanded an existing visa restriction policy to target Cuban officials believed to be tied to a labor program that sends Cuban workers overseas, particularly healthcare workers, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Tuesday. In a statement, Rubio said the expanded restrictions target individuals and immediate family members of individuals believed to be responsible for the program, which he described as forced labor. The US has already imposed restrictions on several people, including some Venezuelans. The Caribbean island nation's health service generates major export earnings by sending health workers around the world, Rubio said. Cuba's labor export programs, which include the medical missions, enrich the Cuban regime, and in the case of Cuba's overseas medical missions, deprive ordinary Cubans of the medical care they desperately need in their home country. The Cuban government did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The United States and Cuba have had a strained relationship since Fidel Castro took over in 1959 revolution, and a U.S. trade embargo has been in place for decades. Um, Question, and I know I may have heard the answer, but color me blank right now. What does the US want Cuba to do? What would be ideal for Cuba to do for them to leave Cuba alone? What exactly can Cuba do that will make the US take the foot off of their necks once and for all? Is there anything they can do? What does the US want from Cuba, really? Is the US prepared to give up Guantanamo Bay, give that land back to Cuba? I don't know. Do we have an answer?
I don't think Cuba will be free from the Americans until the Americans get to control Cuba, completely control them. I think they want Cuba. They would probably give up Puerto Rico right now for Cuba. I believe that they want the country.
I think we have to stop reading these articles. Stop giving these articles prominence. Because anybody that write an article like that could only be an idiot. You're talking about Cuba and getting enriched by sending medical doctors away, and the Cuban people cannot get medical treatment. When we know Cuba have one of the best medical system throughout the world. When we know Cuba has been the first country to show up in any disaster and send their people. I don't hear the Cuban government negotiating with nobody. When Cuba sent how much people to Italy during the pandemic, how much money did the Italian government give to Cuba? Who write these nonsense articles that do zero research? Because you don't even need to be a good researcher. Just 5 minutes on Google will tell you you're talking nonsense. Why do we entertain this nonsense?
Ask Reuters.
It is ridiculous at best.
Ask Reuters and VOA News.
The editor should be fined for publishing such nonsense. I yield.
No, Mr. President. You know why I say no? We need articles like these to open our eyes, for people to recognize that something is off. If we don't have these kind of articles, how are people going to recognize how ludicrous the situation is? How are people going to recognize that lies are being disseminated? How are people going to recognize that propaganda is on the forefront? How? It's through articles like these.
I am not saying Cuba doesn't have this problem. I'm not saying the government don't have these agendas. But to say that Cuba is making money, Cuba is known as one of the most charitable countries in the world when it comes to medical assistance.
Mm-hmm. We know that.
A lot of these poor countries that Cuba send people through the Caribbean. How much money we send to Cuba? We don't even buy the cane, the sugar, nor the cigars. Come on, man.
But you said we need these articles so we can counter these articles, so that those listening can say, whoa, hold on a second. Here is a differing view. So let them write it. Let them write it, let them continue. Freedom of speech, right? Freedom of press, right? But then you have us. So let them do them thing. No, man. Everybody need a paycheck, not true. Who cares what it costs and to whom? And whom it will hurt. That's how we operate. Mm-hmm. And then we have to play the cleanup man. We are the environmentalists. We are the environmentalist technicians that come in and do the cleanup. And make it shiny and new again. Peru's economy is seen growing 4% this year with stable inflation. This article can be found on Yahoo. courtesy of Reuters. Peru's gross domestic product, GDP, will likely expand by 4% this year and rank as the second fastest growing economy in Latin America. This is according to a senior official on Monday. As inflation is seen holding for another year at around 2%. The Andean economy is bouncing back from recession, with the government of President Dina Boluarte and the central bank forecasting positive prospects for 2025, including fewer inflationary pressures and more investment. Peru's economy for decades was one of Latin America's top performers, but in recent years, growth has cooled as social unrest hit the country's key mining sector amid growing political instability. At a press conference, Economy Minister Jose Salarde pointed to the expectation of relatively high prices for copper and gold, Peru's top mineral exports, and a push to cut regulations that should facilitate investment. And that article closes out our Latin American segment. And now it is time for us to move on to news on the international scene. But first, I must play a video. Let's take a listen. Oops. Okay, while that runs out, can we skip? Yes, we can skip. And let's listen.
Mr. President, when you spoke to Vladimir Putin, did he raise or did you discuss at all the possibility of a minerals deal on the Ukrainian land that Russia now controls?
I didn't discuss Russia. No. I'd like to buy minerals on Russian land too, if we can. The rare earth. They have very good rare earth also. They both do. I would say that. And oil and gas. Look, it's a great thing if we sell this. It's great for Russia too, because we can do deals there. They have very valuable land that isn't utilized. So something like that could take place, yeah.
Have you put raising or lifting sanctions against Russia on the table?
No, we haven't lifted any sanctions on anybody.
On the table as part of the negotiation?
Well, I guess it will be at some point, but right now we haven't agreed to lift sanctions on anybody.
On that gold card, getting back to that, I'm fascinated by this, Mr. President.
You should be fascinated by it. Your taxes will go down to nothing.
Would a Russian oligarch be eligible for a gold card?
Yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people. It's possible. They're not quite as wealthy as they used to be. They're not as wealthy as they used to be. I think they can afford. I think they can afford $5 million.
So
no, a lot of people are going to want to. A lot of people are going to want to be in this country, and they'll be able to work and provide jobs and build companies and pay taxes. All of those things. It's an incredible. It's an incredible thing. I mean, this is the group that is the first to hear it. Nobody's heard about it. Nobody ever thought about it. But we've been thinking about it very, very strongly over the last week. And I was going to announce it sometime next week. And I figured, why not? We have a lot of cameras blazing right now. We might as well do it now. We'll have Caroline announce it the next time. No, it's a great thing. The gold card. Remember the words, the gold card. Somebody said, can we call it the Trump gold card? I said, if it helps, use the name Trump. I'll give it to you for free.
I like it. Mr. President, you probably just launched 10,000 stories. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on what Russian oligarchs you know?
I know. Isn't it interesting how many stories we do tell? And they all turn out to be true, and they all turn out to be ultimately correct. You know, Trump was right about everything. Do you have one of those Trump was right about everything hats? I'm going to give it to this gentleman. Get me one of them.
But they're all going to be vetted. Everybody who comes in gets vetted. Okay, they get vetted. So you got to, we're going to begin in 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. The sale will start in about 3 weeks.
Do you see a more active role for Zelensky now, given this?
I hope so. I mean, look, I think that we want to get that country back on its feet. Right now, it's been destroyed. It's so here, give me this here. Give me all of them. Look. Yeah. See that? Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody said, I said, this was sent in by a fan. I said, I think we should make some of them. But we were pretty much. You want one?
I'll pass.
Are you allowed to take one? Because he'll consider it. I know him well. He's sort of a stiff. Yeah, Brian, you're not a stiff. He's sort of a stiff guy. He'll take other things, but not a free hand.
Always say yes to the president. Always say yes to the president.
Would anybody like?
As an owner of Walton.
All right, Adesoji, played it for you before you have to class.
Yes, he said when I watched the video, he said there was a part he said which is the guy, one of the lackeys behind him, who said people will come in with $5 million worth, and they go. I can't even get my head dropped. Their go card is going to be worth $5 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that $5 million will go towards paying the United States debt and stuff like that. Like, does this guy understand basic mathematics? So the guy who is coming into the United States, clearly running away from taxes, yeah? And you has the United States offering to give him a $5 million gold card. Would get a $5 million gold
for Park Place or Boardwalk.
Yeah, exactly. So for $5 million gold card, and then we're gonna stash his money in the Cayman Islands. You clearly have not thought this thing through. Besides, okay, now that's me being realistic. The most stupid aspect of it is this. You say you're going to vet people. Why are you vetting people when you clearly have said to yourself you no longer need the CIA nor the FBI? Who is going to do the vetting?
AI.
Okay, I yield.
So, let me say this. What he's recommending is nothing new. America does have what is called an RBI program. It's nothing new. For an RBI program, you invest in the country, you are fast-tracked. All right? It has been existing. So it's what he's doing is just repackaging. But now, what he is doing wrong is putting it together as though he's selling the country to the wealthy. We know the wealthy, they don't want to pay taxes. How is he going to get them to pay taxes? Elon isn't paying. Is Elon paying taxes?
Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay. How is he going? Listen, if I have $5 million, I'm not paying for no residency to come and pay taxes. I'm paying for it to evade the taxes. Go ahead, Mr. President.
I mean, there are people that would pay that $5 million. So whether you like it or not, there are people to pay for that $5 million. The question is, how are you going to vet these people? Because a lot of the people who would pay that $5 million is people that didn't have access. More than like if you're an upstanding businessman or upstanding citizen, there are some restrictions, but if you play with that kind of money, you more than likely will be able to get legal access. So it might be skewed to encourage people who is trying to see if they could siphon through the system. How you check them is up to you, but there would be a market for it. I could guarantee you that. And especially, remember, especially if they're getting a US passport at some point in time, because if I have to make an investment like that, you can't tell me I have to wait 4 years to get a passport. I'm telling you, I'm coming up with that money now. I don't know what the next administration would do. You have to put the system in place so that I get all the paperwork through under your government, even if I pay an expedited process fee. Because the point is, I want to have that citizenship before you leave office. Because once you leave office and the program is disbanded, then it is more difficult to take away my citizenship once I've been through the entire process than if it is still processing. Also, there are people who want access to not just the US market, but if you have a US passport, you have access basically to NATO, to all of Europe, and to certain countries. If you're a Chinese with a US passport, you have favorable access in Taiwan and Japan and Hong Kong and those places where you have access as a Chinese, but you'll be viewed differently with a US citizenship, and that's just a simple example. So there would be people that would pay. And there were people who do not want it, but they will pay for it for the access it gives. So let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. And listen, I don't want anybody to knock the program. Because over there in the Eastern Caribbean, don't we have to shell up 200 and something $1,000 to get citizenship? So if we're going to knock him, knock the Caribbean too.
But the way it's packaged, moment, it's geared to a certain type of individual. The way it's sounding right now, because I presume, from a reasonable perspective, if you were doing reasonable business at this level, you will have access. But now it is packaged in such a way that from where I sit, I do not believe that anybody that pays that $5 million would have any problem being vetted and coming through the system. They would be fast tracked. I could guarantee you they're not leaving that $5 million on the table. But that's from where I sit, and I'm uninformed.
And we're uninformed indeed. So guess what? The people who can shell out the 5 million, they can also shell out the money to have a clean record.
So this is no different to you know what we've got in the Caribbean with the citizenship by investment, but it's just an expensive version, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no different. That's why I said.
But and then the thing is, when you've got when you're paying 5 million, you'll have more privileges than like back in Antigua, we've got I think it's $30,000 investment, and then you get citizenship. But you don't get much privileges. But I think like if you're spending 5 million, that's a lot of money. So you've literally got. It's like what do they call it? The get out of jail free card.
New level unlocked. A new level has been unlocked. It's something that many countries do. It's just that how he has positioned it, it's wrong. The marketing is wrong. It's wrong.
So people are saying he's doing it to bring investment. He's trying to he's trying to help the economy. Some people saying that it's a good idea. Some people say it's not. Just have to see, innit? Just have to see.
I don't see the vetting being happening. That's the truth. I'm going to be very honest. And the reason I'm saying that, because we are so money hungry and we're easily influenced by money. I might have $100 billion to invest. I pay this $5 million and you turn a blind eye to everything. You're going to turn a blind eye. And how are you going to be vetting and asking for clean records and upstanding potential citizens, but yet our leadership is lacking in those areas? Also.
Okay, so let us assume you have everything legit. The question is, how do you adequately vet the applicants? Because if somebody's sharing all that kind of money, you have to give them a timely response. When you have gutted all your securities and federal departments, you have a federal department that is struggling now just to maintain and do their daily task to serve the American public. Where are you getting that extra labor to be able to properly vet these candidates? But Dodge will probably start out that.
Mr. President, I will say to the people of America, listen, don't buy into what he's saying. Let him know we already have that program in place. It's just not costing $5 million. Let him know that no business person is going to set up shop to pay more taxes than they need to. They are going to be engaging with the expectation to pay minimum taxes or little or zero taxes, because they're going to tell you we're providing jobs. Right? So don't be fooled by this. All that's going to happen is more tax breaks for more wealthy people. The $5 million not going to offset a damn thing. It can't replace anything. The $5 million is not going to replace what the undocumented with ITINs have been paying into the federal government. It's not going to equate. I'm sorry. So let him know the program already exists. No need to repackage it and put a higher price tag on it. Don't be fooled. Okay. Next, first story out of our international news segment. Iran deploying air defenses to brace a possible U.S. or Israeli strike. Whoa. Hmm. This does sound safe at all. But let us talk about it. According to timesofisrael.com, Iran has reportedly placed its nuclear facilities on high alert, bracing for an attack by either Israel or the United States. According to a report in the British Telegraph, Tehran has deployed additional air defense system launches around key sites. They, Iranian authorities, are just waiting for the attack and are anticipating it every night, and everything has been on high alert, even in sites that no one knows about. And that's a source that was quoted telling the news outlet saying the concerns have been heightened with rhetoric from new US President Donald Trump. Oh boy, wasn't he the president who said that with him there would be no wars? But it seems as though everybody's ramping up, getting ready for something. Oh my gosh. Next, Ivory Coast Customs have seized 2,000 tons of falsely declared cocoa beans, according to sources. This one, courtesy of MSN.com, via Reuters. Ivory Coast Customs have seized around 2,000 metric tons of falsely declared cocoa beans. Wow, 2,000 metric tons worth $19 million. Wow, at its main port in Abidjan. Two customs sources and one judicial source made the announcement on Tuesday. Cocoa, the main ingredient in chocolate, is smuggled over Ivory Coast's western border to Guinea and Liberia, where traffickers pay above the local farm gate price for the commodity. However, last week, Ivorian Customs discovered that a cocoa exporter had made a false declaration to pay less tax on the shipment at the port. They seized 110 containers that, according to the document, were supposed to contain rubber. A customs officer familiar with the case told Reuters. "Me never know that I smuggle cocoa. Oh, wagwan. Cocoa is gold." Well, I'm glad there was an interception, but what?
It's not enough to just freeze it. It's no ordinary people could move that amount of cocoa value at that high. So you have to make an example of somebody.
Okay, like that take. Wow. To my knowledge, this is the first time we've made such a seizure. 2,000 tons or around 15 million pounds, and that's a huge amount. The tax on the shipment should have been 19.5%, including the 14.5% tax on cocoa exports and the 5% registration tax. In that case, the Ivorian state should have collected 2.9 million pounds in taxes. Meanwhile, the tax on rubber exports is only 1.5%. They may need to bump up that figure. A source close to the judicial authorities said this fraud was possible due to the high level of corruption in the administration and to the complicity of various departments. While corruption is everywhere we go in this world, at every level, no matter where you turn, according to us in Jamaica, Maka Jokio. By the way, where's Jack? There was something she wanted, and I'm not sure what it is. I need to clarify with her. Bottom of the hour. Next up, Serbian police raid offices of watchdogs and seek evidence on USAID donations. Let's jump into this one, courtesy of MSN.com via Reuters. Serbian police raided the offices of two Belgrade-based democracy watchdogs, seeking information about possible abuse of funds donated by the U.S. International Aid Agency, USAID. The move came after the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump froze USAID funding for 90 days in January and has since sought to scale down the aid agency. NGOs, media, and humanitarian projects worldwide have been affected, including those in southern and eastern European countries like Bosnia and Hungary. Stefanovic said prosecutors sought information from the U.S. following statements by Trump, State Secretary Marco Rubio, billionaire Elon Musk, and other U.S. officials about the freedom of USAID funding. So why is it we're not hearing J.D. Vance's name? Oh my gosh, Stefanovic said the CRTA pollster and the watchdogs, the Civic Initiatives, TRAG, and the Policy Center were under investigation following allegations by top U.S. officials and about the excessive spending of USAID funds. All we hear is these are the top three names for real. It's Trump, Musk, and now Rubio. Where's Vance? What's Vance's role? What's his position? And I'm not letting up because he used to attack Kamala Harris, saying, why was she not present? Why nobody not seeing her? Nobody knows what she does. So my question is, what do you do now, Vance? Because we don't see you. We don't even see your name that much. You know, it pops up every now and again. It's Musk, kitty, Musk. Next. It costs more to send money to sub-Saharan Africa than anywhere else in the world. These companies are trying to change that. This article comes to us courtesy of CNN. Millions of people in sub-Saharan Africa rely on money sent to them by relatives living abroad. But it costs more to send this money, known as remittances, to sub-Saharan Africa than any other region in the world, according to the World Bank. In recent years, a number of African-founded financial technology, otherwise called fintech companies, have emerged with the aim of bringing down costs and carving into the dominant market share of traditional players like Western Union and MoneyGram. The potential benefits are huge. The less it costs to send money to Africa, the more money is likely to be sent. An increased flow of foreign currency can act as a lifeline for both individuals and national economies. Worth $54 billion to sub-Saharan Africa in 2023, remittances account for more than a fifth of GDP of the Gambia, Lesotho, and Comoros, and more than a tenth of Liberia, Cape Verde, and Guinea-Bissau. They are more valuable to Kenya than its key exports. The estimates are generally assumed to be lower than the real figure due to the prevalence of unrecorded payments through informal networks. Not only do remittances to low and middle income countries exceed foreign direct investment and official development assistance combined, but it also somehow remains constant, with Christian Kinkombe, managing partner of Impact Investment Advisor and formerly of the African Development Bank, also adding, so it is really a very important sense of development. Good question. How do they come up with a reasonable charge for a remittance? Why do they charge different amounts for different increments? So, for example, from let's say $10 to $200, they charge you one fee. From 201 up to 500, another fee, so on and so forth. Why do they do that? Not the same process. Why do they not have a flat rate? I'm just asking. Why not just have a flat rate? Go ahead, Mr. President.
Is there opportunity to price differentiate for no reason? And sometimes there are fees affiliated with the amount being transferred and regulations in the receiving and exporting country, for want of a better word. So that's what it is. And the price varies depending on, like everything else, demand and supply. Demand and supply. But and that industry is highly regulated. And the donor countries, if you want to call them that, knows the importance of remittance to the developing world. So they could have a squeeze on it when they're ready. And they know a squeeze on remittance hit the pockets of the receiving countries very, very hard. But I would like to see us come up with alternative financing plans that can fill some of the gaps in these countries, and so that we are less dependent on the remittance, or find some way to come up with better financing schemes and stuff like that, access to finance and for small and developing businesses, for families, better safety nets and better use of local resources, etc. But that is easier said than done.
Easier said than done, indeed. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We have to be more creative. I think the reason why we're not quick to look for alternative solutions, Mr. President, is that we're lazy. We're lazy. We always look for the easier way out and not recognizing that many a times that becomes a trap. We become dependent on this crutch. And if the crutch is removed, we don't know how to walk. And we need to learn to be able to stand on our own 2 feet a little more. Yeah, I think that's the problem. It becomes a go-to default, so to speak. I may be wrong, but that's my feeling. We're lazy. We don't want to think
I don't think that's
outside
the
the
case,
box.
Moments.
Okay,
I don't
fair
think it's a
enough.
case of laziness. I just think it's a case that this has been working forever. That sometimes politicians don't really think about it. And remember, we're full of recycled politics. So the economy is not broken, so we don't fix it. We are not proactive and forward thinking. Most politicians are self-seeking. So why would they take on headaches that they don't need to? So I think that's what it is.
So
I don't
yes,
think it. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. If you have politicians that are thinking about the country and progressive and looking forward and stuff, you would find different solutions for these problems. But they don't see it as problem. They don't see the dependence as problems because the remittance would always be there. That's how they see it in their mind.
it's kind of borderline lazy. No, no.
It depends on your intention. If your intention is to develop and create robust economies and stuff, yeah, you could see it lazy. But if your intention is to make it through the next 5 years and get re-elected, who cares?
Complacent then. Let me switch out lazy. No, I'm not going to remove the word lazy. Lazy, complacent, lackadaisical. Next up, Vietnam's strategic moves to avoid U.S. tariffs. This article, courtesy of AIinvest.com, as the U.S. administration considers reciprocal import tariffs, Vietnam is proactively exploring measures to mitigate potential risks and to maintain a balanced trade relationship. With a significant trade surplus with the US, Vietnam is taking steps to diversify its export markets and strengthen its economic partnership with America. Here are some specific strategies Vietnam is considering to avoid US tariffs and foster a more resilient economy. Number one, diversifying export markets. Vietnam is actively expanding its trade partnerships with the EU, the Middle East, and Asian neighbors to provide alternative destinations for its goods. This strategy aims to reduce vulnerability to American tariffs and promote a more balanced trade relationship. By expanding its trade horizons, Vietnam can mitigate the impact of potential US tariffs and ensure the stability of its export driven economy. You know, as I'm reading that, what I'm hearing is reactive versus proactive. And I think many of us have been sitting in sleep mode for far too long. And it's not until we get the shake up, the boat rock, or the rug is removed that we decide to do something, to explore other opportunities that have been there all along, but we just totally ignored or never paid much attention to. Number two, increasing imports from the US. To balance its trade surplus and improve its standing with Washington, Vietnam is considering increasing its imports from the US recent deals to buy US aircraft and liquefied natural gas. However, Vietnam needs to go further by expanding these commitments and prioritizing imports from politically sensitive US industries such as agriculture, energy, and high tech manufacturing. This approach can help preempt aggressive action from Washington and rebalance trade between the two countries. Number three, negotiating a structured multi year plan. Vietnam can work with the US to develop a formal framework that gradually narrows the trade gap over time. This could involve setting specific targets for increasing imports from the US and establishing a timeline for achieving them. Such a plan would provide a roadmap for both countries to follow and help build trust in the bilateral trade relationship. Number four, encouraging high value foreign direct investment. To shift the narrative and position Vietnam as a critical node in America's chain supply resilience strategy, Vietnam can actively encourage investment from U.S. firms. This could involve offering incentives for U.S. companies to set up operations in Vietnam, as well as promoting joint ventures between Vietnamese and U.S. firms. By doing so, Vietnam can demonstrate its commitment to fostering a balanced and sustainable trade relationship with the U.S. And number five, strengthening education and vocational training. To further enhance its standing with Washington, Vietnam can invest in education and vocational training programs that focus on high tech and advanced manufacturing sectors. This would not only help Vietnam develop a skilled workforce, but also make it more attractive destination for U.S. investment. By doing so, Vietnam can position itself as a long term economic partner rather than a competitor taking advantage of tariff loopholes. Well, by implementing these strategies, Vietnam can work towards balancing its trade surplus with the US and improving its standing with Washington. This would help mitigate the risk of punitive trade measures and strengthen the overall bilateral relationship, ultimately fostering a more resilient and prosperous economy. So, what do we think about that? Their take? Are they being smart with exploring or making those strategic moves, diversifying export markets, increasing imports to the US, negotiating a structured multi year plan, encouraging high value foreign direct investment, and strengthening education and vocational training? Go right ahead, Mr. President.
If you break down these things and you let's look at them one by one, okay? Encouraging direct investment, okay? It means giving the US investors cheap, easy access to you. The education plan is to develop the skill set of your workers. So provide a skilled workforce for the same foreign direct investors. They're talking about Vietnam buying more stuff from the critical industries like the farmers and so on that is critical to America. The person that write that seems like they're sitting on a desk in the US State Department looking for ways to find customers that they could exploit. Because in that report, there is nothing that says, you're talking about surplus trade. You already have a surplus trade. If you have a surplus trade, right, it means that you're selling more than you're buying. Now, I'm supposed to put measures in place that make me lose my surplus. And you tell me it's favorable for me. The best thing to do, diversify to other countries and stuff. But all the others is just neocolonialism, if you ask me. If you go through it and break it down one by one, you would see. We could go through it one by one and we would see how it is not benefiting Vietnam. All that you say is for the US benefit. To avoid tariffs, let the tariff come, find other markets.
So let me read some of the comments under this article. One person said, education plus skills equals attracting US investments. Another, FDI from the US could be a game changer. Vietnam should roll out the red carpet for American investors. Win-win for both sides. Another, diversifying exports is like hedging your bets, folks. Another one, Vietnam's diversifying move is smart, not putting all eggs in one basket. EU, Middle East, and Asian are solid backup plans. Another person said, diversifying exports is smart. Vietnam's got to play the long game, hedge bets against US tariffs. Who's in for some AAPL and TSLA in the mix? Increasing imports from the US is a solid move. LNG and aircraft deals are a start, but Vietnam needs more. Balance those trade books. I'm in the blender. Okay, so I got kicked out of fan base. Thanks for the alert, folks. Via text, I didn't realize I was kicked out of fan base. What was the last thing you heard? Did you hear any of the comments I was reading from under the article? Are you guys hearing me? Let me know, please, and thank you.
Can hear you, but you had just read it. You had just started reading the comments.
All right, thank you, Ja. Appreciate that. So, education plus skills equals attracting U.S. investments. FDI from the US could be a game changer. Vietnam should roll out the red carpet for American investors, win win for both sides. Vietnam's diversifying move is smart, not putting all eggs in one basket. EU, Middle East, and Asian ASEAN are solid backup plans. Increasing imports from the US is a solid move. LNG and aircraft deals are a start, but Vietnam needs more. Balance those trade books. So some people seem to be very welcoming. Vietnamese seem to be very welcoming of this move, Mr. President. Let's see. Let us see. And that story closes out. That's the last story in our where are we? International news segment. Yeah. That's wow. For more stories in Latin America and on the international scene, we invite you to head on over to www.coffeeintro.com and go to the tab that says there's more. Out of Latin America, United is now flying nonstop from Newark to the island of Dominica. How China's new Peru megaport gives it a foothold in South America. Venezuelan men allege mistreatment while in detention in Guantanamo Bay. And on the international scene, critically injured South African soldiers are evacuated from Congo and amid the rebel offensive. Cocoa Bod, GRA foil cocoa smuggling attempt to Togo border. How a dramatic day at the UN deepened cracks between Europe and the US. Russia will not return to the G7, German finance minister says. And Ukraine doesn't have any rare earth metals, and the strategic minerals it does have are not worth trillions of dollars. So you can read upon those stories by heading over again to coffeeintro.com. Click on the link on the tab that says there's more, and the links for those stories are there. Want to say thank you to everyone listening on qmzradio.com for quality music while you work or play, janoradio.com, your nonstop party vibe station, and madmusichouse.com, any genre, anytime. And of course, a big thank you to everyone right here with me on Fanbase, my Fanbase family. All right, before we get into stories out of North America, we have a Black History story. Oops, let me play that one. Okay, so it's a soundbite courtesy of NPR. Rollback of diversity efforts leaves teachers wondering about effects on Black History Month. So let me turn the volume up so we can hear.
Is drawing to a close, and it's brought anxiety for some teachers because of the Trump administration's push to roll back diversity efforts. Nebraska Public Media's Cassidy Arena has more.
Over here we have Dr. Charles Drew. They love this area, love to pretend they're doctors.
Gwen Partridge, or Mrs. Gwen to her pre-K students, walks around her homemade Black History Museum at the YMCA Emmanuel Early Learning Center in Omaha, Nebraska.
What's great is when they learn something about Black history, and then the parents come back and say, thank you.
Partridge has been a pre-K teacher for 20 years, and the Black History Museum she spearheaded for the school has exhibits for the students. There's a music section, a hair salon, and plenty of books about influential Black history makers. The students in her mostly white class ask her why she has brown skin and they don't. One of her lessons is about the first Black student to attend an all-white school, Ruby Bridges.
I'm like, she was little, just like you guys. And just imagine how scared she was walking in a classroom with nobody else the same color as her skin.
But it's a tense time for educators who teach Black history. The U.S. Department of Education recently told public schools and universities to eliminate diversity initiatives or lose public funding. Tim Royers is president of the Nebraska State Education Association. He recently attended a national meeting with other teachers' union leaders.
There's such a profound chilling effect that's happened right now because of the orders coming out of Washington. I don't think any school or district wants to talk about it for fear that that's going to get weaponized and used against them to potentially take away federal funding.
Officials and teachers with 3 large districts in Nebraska declined to speak about Black history education this year. Royers, a former history teacher, says educators at the forefront of these discussions are exhausted, and these pressures contribute to low teacher retention. But not all teachers are experiencing these same tensions. Dan Wade III is a social science teacher in Oxnard, a city in Southern California. He co-wrote an African American studies course for his high school, which launched last year.
Me teaching this class, it almost feels like a way of standing up for Black history. I think essentially what I'm saying is it's caused me to kind of step up in a way that before I would have avoided.
But Wade says he isn't sure about the future of his class. LeGarrette King is professor of social studies education at the State University of New York at Buffalo, specializing in Black history and racial literacy.
Lately it's no one should be taught that any race is superior. That's not being taught in Black history. No one's teaching that Black people are superior to white people.
He says often it's Black educators leading the charge to teach more about Black history. But Black teachers are underrepresented in American schools.
Are we going to have fun tomorrow?
Back in Mrs. Gwen's pre-K class in Omaha, the kids cheer as she walks back into the classroom.
Black history, that's something that we all should learn about, part of our history, because now I'm not for sure. I'm reading different things that they might be taking, Black history and Black study out of schools. So if we don't get it here, they might not get it.
She plans to retire in June, but she intends to, quote, pass the torch to make sure the pre-K Black History Museum opens its doors every February. For NPR News, I'm Cassidy Arena in Omaha, Nebraska.
Why is it easier for us to fold rather than be defiant? Let me put it that way, for the want of a better term, right? Defiance can be good and defiance can be bad. If it were not for defiance, we would not be quote unquote free today, right? So defiance can serve for good. Some may argue that, but why weren't all the teachers, all the schools, all school boards across the country standing up and pushing back against it? Why was it just easy to cower and say, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do? Why didn't everyone across the education sector come together and say, no, we're not going to fall for this. We're going to fight back. Why was it so easy for them to fall in line? Is it because it is Black history and many of them are also in agreement with changing the narrative? Not, I don't know. I'm trying to understand why.
I don't think it's that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, John.
So, back when civil rights first started, we as, I would say, Black people, African Americans, we had nothing. So it was easier for us to fight. Let me say that. Now we have homes, cars, children, parents we're taking care of, sick children that we're taking care of. And not to say that they didn't have that prior, but they also had less than what we had. So sometimes it's hard for you to say, you know what, I'm going to fight to the death. Because who's going to take care of me when I falter? And I know that we need to fight. Mm-hmm. I just think in this day and age, we have to find a different way to do it. Because the old ways, even as we can see, don't work any longer.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, as it's always, go ahead, go right ahead, go ahead.
And that's just my take.
Okay, Joe. Well, because it is being removed from schools, right, doesn't mean that we have to stop talking about the advancements and the significance of those who came before us, right? On whose backs we are standing, whether we want to accept or admit or not. Yeah, we have
And
all benefited from those who came before us. Go ahead, Jack.
and we have to stop giving autonomy to our educational system because, like I always say, we can teach our children. We don't have to leave it up to the schools to do it.
Right. Fair enough. And I was going to say that next, so thank you for sparing me. All right, so stories out of North America. First up, ooh, where are you? I'm so proud of these people. I am proud of y'all. I hope everybody stands up and just walks away. But more importantly, tell us the truth. Tell us what was going on. We, the taxpayers, need to know. We, the citizens, need to know. 21 Doge staffers resigned, saying they will not help dismantle public services. And this article comes to us courtesy of NPR. Let's go ahead and get into it. A group of 21 civil excuse me. Them something up at top. I know them doing something for myself. But anyway, get my throat together. A group of 21 civil servants whose team was folded into Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency resigned on Tuesday, writing in a joint letter posted publicly that they refuse to use their skills to put Americans' data at risk and dismantle critical public services. The federal workers, mostly software engineers and product managers, were once part of the U.S. digital service, which was renamed Doge when Musk launched his initiative from within the White House. The Musk-led unit has laid off thousands of workers and moved to dismantle entire agencies in a slash and burn campaign to reduce the size of government. In the letter addressed to White House Chief of Staff Susan Wiles, the government employees wrote that they swore an oath to the Constitution to serve the American people, but that it has become clear that we can no longer honor those commitments at the United States Doge service. White House Press Secretary Lipless Caroline Levitt responded to the 21 Doge workers resigning en masse in a statement saying, "Don't let the door kick you on the way out." Caroline, you found your lips, I see. Or is it because your makeup artist is drawing the line above your lip to make it look as though you have lips? What kind of statement is this? Don't let the door kick you on the way out? The letter was first reported by the Associated Press. Now, one of the Associated Press don't want them back in there. It's not just because of the Gulf of Mexico. Nobody wants to be confronted. Let's put it that way. The departure of the 21 staffers comes as Musk's Doge workers spread across vast parts of the federal government and gain access to key data systems, all in an effort to dig into sensitive federal data and delete entire agencies. And you want to talk about deleting agencies? How about the database with sex offenders? How about police officers or ex-police officers who have been or have displayed egregious behavior? Yeah. Talk about deleting entire agencies and databases. Over the weekend, Musk prompted widespread confusion after millions of government workers received an email from the Office of Personnel Management asking them to account for what they did in the past week in the form of 5 bullet points. Musk indicated on X, the social media site he owns, that not responding could result in job loss. Yeah. Caroline. Oh, Caroline. Don't let the door kick you on the way out, she said. But then again, she did go to a fly-by-night college. I don't even know if it's a real college. You know, one of those colleges that you can pay to get your degree. Just like you can pay to get a high school diploma.
Why you have me spit my tea out?
I applaud these 21 civil servants. I wish everybody else would grow up and do the same, follow suit. Did you see the video with Jasmine Crockett when they asked her about if she had a message for, if she could say something to Elon Musk, what would she say to him? You saw that video, Ja? 2 words. 2 words. I was stumped when she said it. I was like, okay, girl, go with your bad self. Go with your bad self. Child, please. Yep. Fani Willis, yes, Atlanta DA Willis begins her 2nd term, expressing no regrets over Trump's case. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this one, courtesy of NPR.
President Trump was fighting 13 felony counts in Georgia for trying to overturn the 2020 election, and the district attorney who charged him was seen as a rising star. Now, Trump is president again, immune from prosecution for the next 4 years, and Fulton County prosecutor Fani Willis has been rebuked by the courts and is fighting to keep the case alive. WABE's Sam Greenglass reports from Atlanta.
Donald Trump and Fani Willis began their 2nd terms in office just a few weeks apart.
I, Fani Taifa Willis, do swear and affirm.
To celebrate, the district attorney hosted an inaugural gala. The dress code, black, pink, and gold.
Lift every voice and sing.
4 years ago, Willis was elected the county's first female DA. She became known for high-profile racketeering cases, indicting defendants like Trump and rapper Young Thug. But both of those cases became mired in drama. At the gala, Willis expressed no regrets.
In my first 4 years in office, I learned a really hard lesson. Folks are here for you during the good times, but the slightest bit of wind, and folks quickly begin to fall to the wayside.
Last January, a Trump co-defendant lodged a serious allegation that the DA was involved in a romantic relationship with Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor she hired for the case. He ultimately resigned, but in December, the Georgia Court of Appeals ruled that Willis and her office should still be removed from the case. Trump praised the decision. On stage and with Nathan Wade seated at her table, Willis excoriated it.
See, they're judges in my very state, in my very courthouse, that are more interested in their next appointment than upholding the rule of law and following their oath.
Willis did not shy away from slamming Trump, just not by name, and closed asking the audience what they were willing to sacrifice in pursuit of justice. Georgia State University law professor Anthony Michael Kreis.
There's a lot of room for redemption here, but this case is much more on life support than it's ever been before.
Kreis says Trump had almost no chance of going to trial last year, no matter what Willis did, once the U.S. Supreme Court established broad presidential immunity. Trump's 14 remaining co-defendants could still see trial in the next few years, but if Willis is disqualified for good by the Georgia Supreme Court, Kreis says it's unlikely anyone will be appointed to take over.
If Fani Willis is removed and none of the co-defendants are ever brought to trial, I think this will be a real mark of shame.
Many Republicans have praised the prosecution's unraveling as a triumph for justice, and Georgia GOP lawmakers are continuing their own investigation into Willis. But at a farmer's market in a liberal Atlanta neighborhood, Wendy Cooper says she feels empathy for the DA.
As a Black woman living in America, this is to be expected. That powerful, smart African-American women are really the target of a lot of hatred
Cooper says even if Willis had pulled off a conviction, it probably wouldn't have mattered. Trump had already been found guilty on charges in New York.
But did that have an impact on the election? No.
Atlanta residents Lorraine and Andy Ramey strongly disagree with the court removing Willis, but they also feel like she bungled the best shot to hold Trump responsible for his actions after 2020.
Because she knew better. I was hopeful, and then it slowly faded.
Last fall, Lorraine begrudgingly voted to keep Willis in office, but Andy?
I didn't vote for her this past November.
What'd you do? Leave it blank? Or?
I did.
Andy Ramey says he's fed up with the justice system, fed up with how Willis handled such an important case, and most of all, fed up with the country that sent Trump back to the White House. For NPR News, I'm Sam Greenglass in Atlanta.
A year ago, President...
From NPR.
All right, thank you, NPR, for that one. Controversial one, it seems. But she said something that is so true. You will know who is there for you when trouble take you. Ain't that the truth? When trouble take you, you know who is there, whether they're there physically, spiritually, emotionally, however, in whatever capacity, right? You'll know. I saw a girl, Fani. I just saw the thing go. All right, next up, according to the Associated Press, a federal judge in Seattle blocks Trump's efforts to halt the refugee admissions system. And I think this one is a soundbite. Let's see if we can take a listen here. Play. Okay, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Let me go ahead and pin the...
The Trump administration's actions are unprecedented, catastrophic, and clearly violate the will of Congress. This administration is trying to dismantle the entire refugee resettlement infrastructure to ensure that the U.S. is not resettling refugees long into the future. Today's message is simple. President Trump cannot overrule the law with the stroke of a pen. Without the outcome today, the lives of our refugee clients and the very future of refugee resettlement in this country would be at risk. The harm being inflicted on refugees, the agencies that serve them, and the communities that welcome them is irreparable. And the longer the Trump administration is allowed to act unlawfully, the longer and more difficult it will be to undo these harms.
IS used to welcome refugees because they were Jewish. Today, we welcome refugees because we are Jewish. The Torah commands us 36 times to welcome the stranger, for we were once strangers ourselves. And we are so happy that because of this court, we can continue fulfilling that commandment in this country.
The question before us is simple. Will we continue to be a nation that stands for freedom, dignity, and opportunity? I believe we can. I believe we must. And I ask you to join me in ensuring that America really remains a beacon of hope today, tomorrow, and forever, and a land where the dreams of displaced people can rise and flourish forever. Thank you.
Indeed. And that is what we need. We need more and more judges pushing back, putting in blocks, right? Otherwise, if we don't do that, we're not going to be able to circumvent and put a stop to the foolishness. Yeah, it is foolishness what's going on across the country. How quickly we forget. And this is why I get it. We don't really want history taught, the truth taught. Let me put it that way. Let me not say history. The truth. We don't want the truth to be taught. We want our current generation and generations going forward to be oblivious, to be blind, to be without the knowledge, right? Yeah. But kudos to that judge. We thank you for stepping up, standing up, and putting a stop to the foolishness in whatever way you're able to. Yes, Ja. We need more of that. We need more backbones if you want to call it that. Definitely need more backbones. All right, and that article closes out our stories out of North America. Coming up next, we have our business and tech news. Just want to say a quick thank you to everyone on QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio.com, MadMusicHouse.com. We appreciate you tuning in. Also to everyone watching on YouTube Live. And I invite you to head on over to coffeeinto.com. Click on the tab. There's more. And for stores out of North America that we were not able to cover here on the live show, U.S. Treasury's dissent vows to reprivatize an economy that is brittle underneath. Putin offers Russian and Ukrainian rare minerals to U.S. Elon Musk heads to Fort Knox as gold smuggling rises. So check those stories out, available on coffeeinto.com. And while you're there, I invite you to also subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can click on the tab that says Watch Live and subscribe. All right, like, share, comment, engage with us. We love the engagement. We like hearing from you. Okay, so moving right along, business and tech news. And business and tech news is brought to you by Grant Coffee. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grant Coffee House. All right, and we're back with YouTube Live. So our first order of business, a federal, no. Apple, you are up. Let's take a bite out of this one. Apple shareholders rebuffed an attempt to pressure the technology trend setter, into joining President Donald Trump's push to curb corporate programs designed to diversify its workplace. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this one, courtesy of WSVN.
Well, Robin, Apple is not biting on a conservative group's push to end diversity programs at the tech giant. Shareholders rejected a proposal to eliminate its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at a stockholder meeting today. This despite President Trump's elimination of DEI programs across the federal government and his recent push to scrub corporate programs designed to diversify its workforce in favor of merit-based hiring.
Okay, see, that's the thing, people have to learn to push back. Simple as that. Push back as much as you can. Because it's more of us than there is of them. Right? And it's even more of us who support you, who supports them, or, bowing down to them, I should say. Yeah, there's strength in numbers. And what you going to do? Go ahead, Mr. President. Go right ahead.
Once you make it about us and them, then you're buying into the whole narrative.
Explain further.
As any organization, all you have to say is that you would hire as you see fit to the benefit of the organization. That way it doesn't matter your race and all this stuff.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about race. When I say us, I'm talking about us as a general population, the consumers, the employees, not about race at all.
Yeah, but that's what Apple have to say, listen, we will stick to our hiring practices. We would hire the best and the brightest. That's it. If that's our criteria, that's our criteria.
Right.
Don't tell me about the DEI and all this, because all this is nonsense. Every company would hire what is best for them, based on the mandate and what they're looking for. So to come and give me some special or hire, because most of the people, if you look at the people, right? Even if you look at the same Elon Musk and all of them, what they said indirectly is, a lot of the qualified people in this organization are not even white people. So it is just, it's just to create a narrative to make people think certain things are happening. If you look into tech, these are some of the most diverse workplace. So we don't, and the people that get hired there, it's not because of their color or their race. No, they're hired because they're good. Period. So don't even entertain them with the nonsense. If you hire how you hire. You don't tell me about race and DEI. No, you hire the best people. If they're black, so be it. If they're white, so be it. That's it. That's it. You're hiring the best.
let me ask you a question, Mr. President, since you brought that up. Let me ask you a question. If every America were to push back and say, stop classifying us, stop putting us in groups, every single American, if every American got up and said, remove these boxes from off application forms, everything, do you think that would help to change how Americans think? We would see each
No.
other as human versus
No.
as
That would never.
the color of our skin. You don't think?
That would never. That would never happen. That would never happen. No matter what you put, they would see. People would see what they choose to see. Then you have to also say, you can't just say there are some areas where the disenfranchised need selects up.
Mhm.
Because there are areas where people were deliberately disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have to, and it happens in every society. In every society, the disenfranchised, the less fortunate, are catered for.
Yes.
So you can't say, oh, we're putting everybody on all footing. It's the same thing you look at with this whole South African stuff. If my great grandfather came and steal all their land, you can come and say, oh, well, you landless, I have all your land. And you say, okay, you know what? Let's start from here. Don't worry, everybody's on. No, we're not an even playing field. Because if I have to restore the land to the rightful owners, fine. And it's the same thing. If you have to restore certain things to certain groups of people or certain people, that is part of being fair. But I'm saying, don't come to a company and tell you, oh, you cannot hire black workers or you cannot discriminate, because either way, it's just for people and it's nonsense. Because the companies would find a way to craft the hiring process to get what they want in any case.
Mhm.
I don't have to tell you I'm not. If I have a company, I don't have to tell you I'm not hiring white or black people.
Mhm.
I just have to put my stuff in place that I don't hire them.
Right.
There's enough ways you can do it. So it's a lot of nonsense.
All right. Let me jump to the chat. I disagree when it comes to tech. Dre says the thing is, Mr. President, they don't hire the best. They hire according to who they can connect with that fits the company's morals. They discriminate, so that's why affirmative action and the DEI is important. But interesting that you would raise that, Dre, because the truth is, even with DEI in place, don't companies still hire discriminately? Don't they hire because your morals are aligned? Don't they still hire because they can relate to you more? So, with or without DEI, it's kind of the same thing going to continue because it was still happening anyway. Am I wrong or am I right? Even though DEI was in place, those same behaviors were still existent. I hire you because if you look around, you'll see people that look like you. I hire you because you're my friend. I hire you because we share the same values, ideologies, so on and so forth. Not necessarily because you're the most qualified. I've seen people get hired because they're unqualified, but because they're my friend. So sometimes we really have to step back and look a little more. Was it working in some instances? Yes, definitely. And it was needed, necessary. But under the quiet, the very behaviors that we are opposing were happening. I don't know if I should say under the quiet. They were happening, in some cases blatantly. You know, you'd go into some places and I don't know if any ever did. You walk into some places, even within one organization, depending on the department. Go into the warehouse, look at the faces you see. Go into the call center, look at the faces you see. Go into the IT department, look at the faces you see. Head over to the executive wing, look at the faces you see. Try that one day. And then come back and let me know. All right. Next article in our business and tech segment, Tech War. Ex-Apple engineer returns to China to teach about semicon. I think, didn't we do this story already? Or one like it? This is a different one? Where, yeah, I think we did this one already. Why am I bringing this one back up again? Lord, forgive me. But this, where an ex-Apple engineer returns to China to teach about semiconductors at the alma mater. Yeah, man, we did that one here already. And we big him up and said, do your thing, my friend. Take your expertise and go on back here, do what you have to do. All right, so.
Moments,
yeah.
Joe make an important point in the chat also. I don't know if you are ready.
Hold on, which one? About they discriminate, so that's why affirmative action is and DI is important. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was saying what I
Okay,
said.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, that even though DEI is in place, the very behaviors that DEI was supposed to stop, put a stop to, were still going on. And I was giving the example: walk into an organization, go into the warehouse, look at the faces you see. Go on the call center floor, look at the faces you see. Move over to IT, look at the faces you see there, then head on over to the executive wing and look at the faces you see. Yeah. So even though it was in effect, a lot of people were not abiding by it, or adhering to what it stands for. If we're going to be honest. If we are going to be honest. All right. So that article closes out our business and tech segment, brought to you by Grant Coffee House. Head on over to grantcoffeehouse.com, shop today, and get 20% off all coffee products. Use the code COFFEEINTO20 at checkout. And now it is time for our health and science news, brought to you by Lormel Skin Food. And let me go ahead and play Lormel Skin Food. Log on to LormelSkinFood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. All right, so first order of business in oh, by the way, oh my gosh. Oh, I played it. I thought I didn't play it. Lord of mercy, forgive me. First order of business in our health and science segment. Medical research lab braces for possible, or I should say, no, let me reread that. I'm so sorry. Medical research labs brace for possible funding cuts that could disrupt their work. And we have a soundbite for this, courtesy of NPR.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Jarl.
Let me wait for that ad to run off. Jarl and Pamela not supporting Coffee Into. Okay, here we go.
Federal judge in Boston is mulling a decision that could have far-reaching implications for research across the United States. The judge could rule any day on whether the Trump administration can cut billions of dollars from overhead cost of biomedical research at universities, medical schools, and hospitals. Why do overhead costs matter? NPR health correspondent Rob Stein visited one lab to find out.
Dr. Donald Milton's a federally funded scientist at the University of Maryland School of Public Health. He's among thousands of scientists around the country funded by the National Institutes of Health who are bracing for dramatic cuts in their budgets. Can you walk me back to your lab?
Yeah, so across the hallway here is a lab where we do our breath collections.
Milton and his colleagues collect breath from sick people to study how respiratory viruses like the flu and COVID spread from one person to another.
We do our breath collections with the Gesundheit 2, which is right behind you here.
What's it called?
The Gesundheit 2.
The Gesundheit 2 looks like a booth with clear plastic windows. Inside, there's a giant silver cone that resembles the horn of an old-fashioned gramophone. A feverish student arrives to get his blood drawn, nose swabbed, spit collected, and take a turn breathing into the big metal cone.
have him loudly recite the alphabet.
Okay.
And meanwhile, they should be counting any coughs or sneezes that he makes.
To try to figure out how to protect people against the next epidemic or pandemic, like the bird flu that's infecting poultry, dairy cows, and some people.
Is it airborne? Do masks work? Are there other things that we should be doing, like making sure we have good ventilation and filtration?
The Gesundheit 2 is just one piece of equipment in just one of his labs.
We are having to replace pieces of our Gesundheit 2 because it's now going on 20 years old, and stuff wears out.
In fact, Milton says about 1/3 of the money he gets from the NIH is for indirect costs.
The lights, the maintenance on the machinery, the heat, the air conditioning.
The Trump administration wants to cap indirect cost payments at 15%. The University of Maryland has been getting about 56%. So Milton estimates he would lose about $1.1 million, forcing him to lay off as many as half his team.
It would be really bad for our work because it would slow us down. It may prevent us from continuing the work in the longer run.
And he worries about the future of biomedical research. Most of the agency's $48 billion annual budget goes to scientists outside the agency like Milton, including about $9 billion for indirect costs.
Since World War II, the United States built up the world's most effective and successful research enterprise anywhere in human history. And we did that because the federal government supported the infrastructure that makes research possible. And that's what the indirect costs do. And without that, the whole thing crumbles.
Now, the Trump administration says many institutions could cut bloat or use their endowments to cover those indirect costs. And the NIH could use the $4 billion in savings to pay for even more research, especially outside the usual elite academic enclaves. Some outside experts agree. Abik Roy is president of the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity, a conservative think tank.
Rates should be reasonable for universities to cover their overhead and allow more of NIH's budget to be directed towards actual scientific research.
State attorneys general, medical schools, hospitals, and others argued in federal court in Boston that the cap on indirect cost funding would be devastating and is illegal. The judge could rule anytime. Rob Stein, NPR News, College Park, Maryland.
All right. I have a suggestion. The lobbyists who pour millions of dollars into political campaigns. How about you take that money instead and give it to a greater cause? Give this money that you can throw away millions of dollars, right? How about you donate all of that money, pour all of those resources into research? Give it to these labs, these institutions whose focus it is to keep us healthy as possible, who are in the business of doing research to advance humanity, so to speak. Why don't they do that? Can we advocate for that? Instead of them pouring money into political campaigns where millions of dollars are spent trying to trick us anyway, to bamboozle us. And I believe, I think I said this, and I think Australia is doing it now. We read a story a couple of weeks ago. There should be a cap on how much can be donated to any political party, to any politician, and that donation should be once a year, and I don't think it should exceed $20,000. That's me personally. Because the more money you give, the more room there is for corruption, and the more it is that these politicians are owned by the donors. Take that money instead and put it to good use. That $200 and something million that Elon funded could have gone into research, could have gone to these universities. Tax write-off? No. You're doing something philanthropic? No. What do you think about that? As a way to subsidize the funding that is received from the federal government. If any money is needed at all, we know it's there. The federal funding is there as a backup. After all this money that people are able to donate and write off on their taxes is given. Is that a reasonable suggestion? Is that practical? Is it doable? Is it dumb? Let me know. Do we what Madly Brad said? I forget the term it is. Go ahead, Jack.
It's practical, but it doesn't fund his pockets.
Doesn't fund any politician's pocket, not just his. Because politicians depend on donations, don't they? They love donations.
All the donations is going to him now.
But you keep saying here, we can't ignore the other politicians who campaigned on donations.
At the end of the day, when they look in their pockets, they're going to see all the money went to him.
You keep holding that. It's not him alone. We can't hold the fire to him alone. It's to all of them. All of them. You know? Yeah.
I think he's going to bamboozle everybody.
More than how we're already bamboozled. But on a serious note, without medical research, we would not have a lot of the advancements we have today. Science and research is important, folks. When we talk about diseases, right, if we're not careful, we saw what happened in 2019, 2020 with the pandemic. We have history to show us what happened with malaria, tuberculosis, polio, all of that. It's there. History books. It's there on the internet. Google, Bing, whatever you use, whatever search engine you use, go ahead, look up the information, you can find it. There is much to be gained from research, testing, so that the young baby that is born with a respiratory illness can get the help it needs. It affects all of us. It really does. So let us see how we can pivot and make more humane choices. A lot of politicians are not going to like hearing me say that, but it is true. But enough of funding politicians, enough of funding them so that they can have these balls and have all these wealthy people sit down and be hypocritical with one another. Enough. Put our money to good use. All right. And that article closes out our health and science segment, brought to you by laurmelskinfood.com. Log on to laurmelskinfood, LAURMEL, skinfood.com for a natural, beautiful you. And now it is time for our Believe It or Not story for the day. American teen has been arrested in Paris, after a newborn was fatally thrown from a hotel window. This one is so sad. This article, courtesy of CNN via WSBN, a U.S. teenager has been arrested in Paris after her newborn baby was allegedly thrown out of a hotel window and died, prosecutors and French media say. The young woman, who was not named, was taken to hospital to undergo an operation after giving birth and was subsequently placed under police custody. The Paris prosecutor's office made that statement. Her newborn baby was allegedly thrown out of the second-floor window of a hotel in Paris on Monday. The newborn was taken to emergency care but did not survive. The mother, an American citizen, was part of a group of young adults traveling in Europe. Adding an investigation to the homicide of a minor has since been opened. The prosecutor's office said it was possible the young woman could have been unaware of her pregnancy. Okay. Okay, that one has me stuck right there, but let me try and keep it moving. Or in denial about it. The spokesperson for the mayor of the 20th arrondissement told CNN that the baby was found alive in a trash can near the hotel and was rushed to the Paris Children's Hospital. The infant died at the hospital. CNN has reached out to French police and the U.S. State Department. The hospital where the woman was taken declined to comment. The caretaker of the building opposite to the Ibis Hotel, where the incident happened, said she and her husband were woken up by the sound of sirens early on Monday morning. I want to say in denial. But you know, I'm not a scientist. Is it possible to be pregnant and not know you're pregnant for 10 months, 40 weeks?
Yes, they had an entire show about it.
So your stomach is not distended. You're still having a menstrual cycle every month. Your breasts don't feel different. Nothing. No, I don't know. I'm not trying to be facetious or anything. I'm being very genuine when I ask these questions.
I think it happens more with people that don't have regular cycles. And as well as we all know that our bellies, when we age, some of us get extended to the size of a pregnancy.
So 9 months pregnant and we would not know. Okay.
They had a whole show on Lifetime on one of those channels about the people like that. And these were adults versus the child in this story.
So I jumped on Google, to support your argument. Yes, it's possible to be pregnant for the entire 40 weeks and not know it. This is called a cryptic pregnancy, and it's also known as pregnancy denial or stealth pregnancy. How common is cryptic pregnancy or pregnancy denial? About 1 in 475 women are unaware of their pregnancy until 20 weeks. That we know. About 1 in 2,500 women go to delivery without knowing they're pregnant. What are the symptoms of cryptic pregnancy? Pseudo menstrual bleeding, lack of typical pregnancy symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and sickness. What are the risks of a cryptic pregnancy? Psychological distress for the mother, unassisted delivery, neonaticide, which is what she did, which puts both the mother and the newborn at risk, preterm birth due to a lack of prenatal care, poor nutrition, or lifestyle choices. What can cause a cryptic pregnancy? Assumptions such as not believing you could become pregnant, unexpected pregnancy symptoms, life circumstances such as age, family history, and or past or ongoing trauma, mental, developmental, and medical conditions. Yep. But what is interesting, Ja, is they call it cryptic pregnancy, also known as pregnancy denial. So when I hear pregnancy denial, it means you know you're pregnant, but you are in denial about it. You're hoping it will go away. You're hoping it's not real. Is that what I'm to understand from pregnancy denial?
Some people, not all.
So they should clarify this then, because one could be led to believe cryptic pregnancy, also known as pregnancy denial, is that it's going to tell somebody, yeah, you know you're pregnant. You just choose to be in denial about it.
Not necessarily, because like a teenager who's never been pregnant before don't really, let me not even say a teenager, a woman who has never been pregnant and may get cramping or, we get these, well, I get these symptoms even when I'm not. So
Yeah.
with women it's different because we always have some type of symptom that mirror other things.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so unfortunate, really unfortunate that this happened. I wish she had not thrown the baby out. Go to a hospital, turn the baby over to a hospital. I don't know, something else. I think she was placed under arrest, if I'm not mistaken.
Where did this happen?
She is an American and she was on a trip in Paris, a group trip.
Oh, wow.
She was arrested, yeah. Yeah, she was part of a group of young adults traveling in Europe. Yeah, so sad, so sad, so sad. All right, that's our Believe It or Not article for today. And now it is time for the Brew Entertainment News. Um, Sadly, our Killing Me Softly singer, that popular song made even more popular by Lauryn Hill, Killing Me Softly with his song, did a set for her this morning as a tribute, as it was hashtag WCW as well. We celebrate women through music, played songs from Roberta Flack, 9:15 to 9:30 this morning on internet radio and here on fan base. Yeah, she's done a lot of collaborations, I must say, with Donny Hathaway. But according to BBC.com, the R&B singer Roberta Flack, best known for the hits "The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face." I need Tasha to sing for us. Tasha can't sing. The first time ever I saw your face and Killing Me Softly with that song has died at the age of 88. And of course, we are heartbroken that the glorious Roberta Flack has passed away as of February 24, 2025. And that was on Monday. She died peacefully, surrounded by her family. Roberta broke boundaries and records. She was also a proud educator. Flack had previously announced in 2022 that she had motor neuron disease and could no longer sing. Born in North Carolina and raised in Arlington, Virginia, the musician started out as a classical pianist. She gained a full school scholarship to Howard University, aged just 15. Her classical training led her into teaching, but at night she'd accompany opera singers on piano, singing pop standards during the breaks. The whole while I was studying classical music, especially in my younger years, I was also doing a lot of do, ron, shudu, bidu, all of that stuff with my peers. So I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by music all my life. The Bach and the Chopin and the Schumann on one hand and all the rhythm and blues, she explained. Her recording career started after she was discovered singing in a jazz club by musician Les McCann, who later wrote that her voice touched, tapped, trapped, and kicked every emotion I've ever known. But she didn't score her first hit until she was in her 30s, when her recording of Ewan McCall's "The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face" was used to soundtrack an explicit love scene in Clint Eastwood's 1971 film Play Misty for Me. It was subsequently named Song of the Year at the Grammys. Flack won the award a second time the following year for Killing Me Softly with his song. After topping the charts again in 1974 with Feel Like Making Love, Flack took a break from performing to concentrate on recording and charitable causes. She spent much of the 1980s touring and over the course of her career worked with artists including Donny Hathaway and Miles Davis. In 1991, she returned to the charts with a duet with Maxi Priest called Set the Night to Music from the album of the same name. She also recorded an album of Beatles covers called Let It Be Roberta in 2012. According to The Guardian, Flack once told a journalist, "What I consider myself is a soulful singer, in that I try to sing with all the feeling that I have in my body and my mind. A person with true soul is one who can take anybody's song and transcend all the flaws, the technique, and just make you listen." Wow. May her soul rest in peace. Yes. Beautiful Roberta Flack. Oh, by the way, that Killing Me Softly, her rendition was, her version of it was first remade, I think, by Al B. Shore, if I'm not mistaken, before Lauryn Hill touched it and gave it that little hip hop vibe to it. Yeah, but beautiful voice indeed. And her songs will never die because you're able to listen to her music on all music streaming platforms. Please indulge. In Jamaica, you would say Sunday music. Yeah, that's where her soulful Sundays. You can definitely listen to her music then, and enjoy, indulge, uninterrupted. Let me say that. All right, next up in our entertainment news segment, DHS will release some of Prince Harry's immigration docs amid allegations he lied about drug use. This one, courtesy of FoxNews.com. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, will release parts of Prince Harry's immigration records with some redaction in the ongoing lawsuit over the royal's move to the United States. The move comes after federal judge Carl Nichols, ordered the agency to provide the court with a redacted version of Harry's file for review, with the ultimate goal of making the records public. And this is according to a New York Post on Friday. At issue is whether the British royal lied on immigration documents or was given preferential treatment when he moved to the US in 2020, with Harry later revealing in his memoir, Spare, which was released in 2023, that he had used illegal drugs. The Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, sued DHS in an attempt to get Harry's record released, hoping to find out if the 40-year-old royal failed to disclose his former drug use on his immigration application. In a DHS filing to the court, the agency said it could turn over items 1 to 3 of Harry's records with some redactions, but would not release item 4. Heritage Foundation, come to the front for a second. Please let me know, or please declare that every one of you, every family member of yours, every friend of yours has a clean, spotless record, what clean like Jesus police record. I sincerely hope none of you has anything in your past. Nothing. He without sin cast the first stone. All of you are squeaky clean. All of you. Every single one of you. None of you has children indulging in things they have no business indulging in according to your conservative standards. Yes, yes. According to the Shade Room, the estranged husband of Real Housewives of Atlanta star Portia Williams, Simon, has been detained by ICE. Yeah. ICE, baby. According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, he is originally from Nigeria and is currently at the Stewart Detention Center in Georgia after being detained. His status is labeled as in ICE custody and has been handed over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement due to President Donald Trump's mass deportation plan, which was implemented to deport illegal immigrants back to their home countries. You know what somebody put in the comments underneath this post? People wicked it up. So this person said, he said he came from Nigeria. He owned a couple acres, a couple fake visas because he never got his papers. Gave up on love, blanking with them heartbreakers. But he was getting money with the movers and the shakers. Isn't that from one of Nicki Minaj's song? I saw.
That sums him up, because I thought he was a rich king or something or the other.
He's rich. If he didn't have money, Portia wasn't there with him. Make me know, but I said I got rich.
So why he in jail? Why didn't he just tell them, okay, I'm going to get back on the plane and leave?
Probably it's not that easy. They have to put you through the system. They probably have to put you through the system. You know how it is.
Then he obviously don't have enough money to get him out of ICE.
No, John. Remember, when it comes to the immigration, the money not allegedly money not have nothing to do with it. They have to put you through the process. You see, what he needs to do is reach out to Trump and say,
Give me one of them $5 million gold card. Money does not get you out of ICE at all, Ja. It's not regular jail. This is ICE, baby.
I don't know. I kind of question that, but we'll see.
Yeah, but all he has to do is reach out to Uncle Donald and let him know that you would like to take advantage of the opportunity. You know, you have your $5 million. Nothing is questionable about you. You have your means and you have property and investments here in the US. And you want a $5 million gold card. Come on now.
Okay.
So, according to Geely, allegedly he got deported and came back on another person's passport. And Geely is also saying, money don't get you out of ICE, baby. Now, some people are of the opinion that Portia, has something to do with it because she wants the house. She wants everything, everything that he has. Somebody else said, plot twist, she called them. Somebody else said, Portia's new Housewives of Atlanta tagline, why sip hot tea when you can add ice? Somebody else said, real ice wives is crazy. Another person said, I've never seen someone being deported so many times. Portia called immigration on that man. Oh my God. I believe Portia called them people. I could be wrong, but I know that I'm right. Now, Portia knows she's wrong for calling them people on that man. A lot of people are feeling that she's to be blamed for the misfortune that has fallen upon him. You know, yeah. I mean, listen, what can I say? Oh, by the way, thank you for this one, Ja. Thank you. I'll just go ahead and do this one before we close out our live stream on internet radio, as well as we're at the end of our YouTube live as well. All right. So first measles death is reported in the West Texas outbreak. Hold on. First measles death is reported in the West Texas outbreak is an unvaccinated child, officials say. Wow, a person who was hospitalized with measles has died from measles in West Texas, the first death in an outbreak that began late last month. And this is, of course, found on khou.com. Covenant Children's Hospital in Lubbock didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The measles outbreak in rural West Texas has grown to 124 cases across 9 counties. I hope you have your measles shot, Ja. Please tell me, say you have your measles shot.
Honestly, I don't know because I came here after the age of those shots, so I gotta check around.
Please, may I beg you, please, may I beg you, DSHS said most of the cases are in children and 18 people have been hospitalized over the course of the outbreak. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed this is the first measles death in the country since 2015. Measles cases were the worst in almost 3 decades in 2019, and there was a rise in cases in 2024, including an outbreak in Chicago that sickened more than 60 people. Measles is a respiratory virus that can survive in the air for up to 2 hours. Up to 9 out of 10 people who are susceptible will get the virus if exposed. That's according to the CDC. Most children will recover from the measles if they get it, but infection can lead to dangerous complications like pneumonia, blindness, brain swelling, and death. The outbreak is largely spreading in the Mennonite community in an area where small towns are separated by vast stretches of oil rig dotted open land, but connected due to people traveling between towns for work, church, grocery shopping, and other day-to-day errands. All right, folks. So please be careful. Please be careful. All right. Don't take no chances. Protect yourselves as much as you can. And that story wraps up our show for today on internet radio as well as on YouTube Live. We will be back tomorrow. Oh, by the way, yeah, Ja. So your Hot Wheels is confirming major law enforcement action in Colony Ridge. Thanks for the for verifying that. So it is true. Shame on you, Greg Abbott. Shame on you. But what can I say? All right, folks. Want to say a big thank you to everyone who tuned in online. QMZRadio.com for quality music while you work or play. Keep it logged on to www.QMZRadio.com for that good music to get you through your day. Thank you also to everyone who listened on JanoRadio.com, your nonstop party vibe station. Download the Jano Radio app. It's available in your Apple and Google Play stores. Jano Radio, take us on the go. And thank you to everyone listening on madmusichouse.com, any genre, anytime. Remember to head on over to www.coffeeintow.com. Explore, peruse, go through the website. You can play catch up with past episodes. You can look for what's more. Yes, there's more news that we were not able to cover on the live show. We have Just a Sip, where we have a highlighted conversation, article plus conversation. You can head on over to our resources page and take advantage of the opportunities, the links that we have there. For example, the Caribbean Future Skills Fund between Canada and the CARICOM community. Click on that link and get the information you need. Coming up March 1st, which is the deadline for the Caribbean Canada Leaders Dialogue for 2025. That's in a few days, folks. Take advantage of the opportunity. If it's not for you, pass the information on to someone else. Also available is the link for the applications for the program 2025 Global Career Scholarship. That one closes March the 7th. So that's another opportunity, the 2025 Global Career Scholarship. For those of you in Jamaica who need to claim your reverse income tax credit, the deadline to do so is March 7. There are people who have not claimed their money. Well, let me put it right. They did the application. The money is available, but they need to go and collect this money. So click the link that's available there for the reverse income tax credit. When we talk about health and wellness, we have some links there for you. The Lancet, the Black Woman's Health Imperative. And another reminder before we get off air, tonight, 7 p.m., please head 7 p.m. Eastern, that is. Please remember to check out Adesoji Speaks Knowledge. Adesoji and Aya will be honoring Nanny of the Maroons tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss that episode of WAR Woman and Resistance. That's tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Live on Adesoji Speaks Knowledge on YouTube. And while you're on Coffee and Toe, click the shop link page rather. Remember, you can shop lormelskinfood.com for your 100% organic skincare and hair care products and enjoy 20% off all coffee products. Use the code CoffeeInto20. Shop today on grantcoffeehouse.com. And with that, we have come to the end of our internet radio live stream. Thank you so much. Coffee and Toe will be back with you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day. And we are at the end also of our YouTube live stream. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you so much for engaging. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment. We want to hear from you. And we will be back with you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Until then, you also take care. Coffee in Toe is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real-time news updates, in-depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go-to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House.